Hey, everybody. I am kicking off a new podcast today. I've done a couple of these in the past for various reasons, and I have all this podcast equipment, a sweet little room to do it in, and I really enjoy doing a podcast. For those that see this and maybe clicked on it from social media, podcast is basically just a little radio show. There's a bunch of different types, but this is going to be like an interview style where I'll sit down with somebody else and we'll talk about who knows what. One of the reasons I decided to do it was a couple weeks ago thought, geez, I had to do one just for fun that's not for business or any sort of promotion or anything of that sort. I just really had a good time when I was doing this in the past. And I sat down and made a list of 10 people that I know that are interesting that could be the first 10 people on the podcast. And I came up with that list really quickly. When I had done it in the past, a lot of the people that sat down with me, 2-3 hours would blow by unbelievably quick, excuse me, and we had a great time. So be warned that this is an adult show. We usually crack a few drinks and swear profusely, and we could talk about nearly any subject. So let's not get offended anyone or anything like that. You're forewarned that this could be any topic, under the sun, just depending where we go. And we're having a few drinks, so it's possible we're going to say some, stupid and silly things. And, mostly just messing around here, having fun. The first person that I thought of when I wanted to do this was my good friend Jenn Stillman. She's probably one of my favorite people in the world. She's super interesting, has a lot of different hobbies and interests, and a great outlook on life. I really like her a lot. We worked together for a while. She moved on to another job, but we've remained friends. And she's just great. So I instantly hit her up when I wanted to do it, and she instantly sent back, yes, when do you, I'll be there. When do you want to do it? And we had a great time. The thing she is really good at, her kind of passion, I would say, is photography. So if you wanted to go and check out her photography, you can go to jennstillman.threadless.com. Or you can go to her Facebook page, Jenn Stillman Photography, and all her work's there. And I'll also throw links to this in the show notes. So if you guys wanted to go there and show her some love, I'm sure she'd appreciate it, and you'll see that she's very talented. So without any further blah blah on my part, here is my good friend Jenn Stillman. Hi, Jenn Stillman.
Hi.
Welcome to my podcast.
I'm so excited to be back.
When was the last time we've even had a conversation?
Oh my God. Well, I avoid you at all costs.
Right.
Right. But on the radio, I haven't worked here for 2 years?
So I was just thinking about this. It's been at least 2 years.
Yeah. Yep.
So we're going back to the
3 years.
2015 era.
I haven't gotten any more interesting. I don't know if that's what you were hoping for. Let it marinate like a fine wine. It didn't work.
In the introduction, I actually said you were the most interesting person I knew.
You lied.
So I either you're lying or I don't know any interesting people at all.
That was a fib.
That
was incorrect.
But I don't even know how we met. How did we? I was thinking about this today. How did we first? We've been friends forever.
Was it Trisha and Matt?
Maybe.
Was it Trisha? I know that remember I have those pictures from New Year's Eve at Players.
Yes.
When I don't know. I was
because
in
I
between
saw them
you and Pam.
Pop up on that Facebook thing.
Yeah.
Over New Year's, and I'm like,
no. You know what it was?
Mm-mm.
We were somewhere. It wasn't New Year's Eve. We were hanging out though, and I think you quoted Tombstone. And then I turned around and I finished the quote, and then it was girl hands all over the place. You're like, oh my God, you like Tombstone? I like Tombstone too. And then everything went.
We're going to be best friends.
Oh my God, did we just become best friends? Freaked out. That's what it was. It was Tombstone.
So it's a long time ago.
Yeah, it was.
But we've done, I like doing podcasts. It's kind of, it's kind of dumb because, or it's not dumb, but I like doing just for myself. I really don't give a flying F about
you
anybody.
You can swear. I can't.
I'm trying to
No, that's okay. We'll see if I can do. We're gonna go PG.
You're gonna try and
because PG, you're allowed to say the F word one time. So it's probably going to slip.
One get out of jail.
But when is it gonna be?
Well, there's so much suspense.
I know.
But the thing I love about podcasts is you get to sit with a person and have a conversation for an uninterrupted amount of time, whether it's an hour, 2 hours, whatever it is, where you never get that in real life ever for any reason.
Because you feel like, because when you're having a conversation in real life, you're not like a mini celebrity, and like, you know, like you have these fancy microphones here, and then you get to hear your voice back on a computer and like.
Which I hate.
Do you really?
Oh, I hate my voice. I hate it.
I've tried to like get my voice lower than it is. I think it's hard, like from yelling at my kid. Like the more I yell, like the deeper
it goes.
I go, like like an animal, like to scare them. It's not working. She's not scared of me at all, but I'm trying.
I think my enjoyment of podcasts comes from being married for a long time and having really great points that I never get to finish. So, like we'll start talking about something. I'm like, well, do you know what I think? I think that the gross domestic product, and I have this great big long thing, and all of a sudden I look over and Pam's walked away, like she has to go do something,
gone.
like
long ago.
Like the dinger went off on the stove.
You didn't even listen at all.
The dog wants in, and I'm just like.
And then you have playback later where you could be like, "This was the point I was trying to make. If you would listen, I said specifically that the gross part."
And then she comes back and, what were you saying about products or something? Fucking never mind.
Never mind.
It's gone.
Fine.
It's gone.
It's okay.
Ruined. But no, this is fun. Like I always think it's fun where you just get to like talk about things and then go a little bit longer.
Yeah. And also if you invite your friend over just to have a conversation, it's a little creepy if you don't have a microphone in front of you. Like, would you like to come over and sit a foot away from me discussing nothing?
In a room with no other people.
Late at night when you probably should be home doing other things. No.
It's perfectly normal.
No, it's fine. No, that's why podcasts are awesome.
Or you try and like meet somebody for, hey, let's grab a drink or a coffee or a lunch. And you can't have a full conversation. Like somebody always comes over. Like I love Rookies.
Yeah.
But
have you been there recently? You still go there?
Last week. I don't go as much as I used to.
No.
I quit going out at night that much.
Yeah.
Just been busy and just busy.
Yeah.
But
I'm just broke.
What? Oh, there's that.
Then there's that.
But you go down there and you try and sit with somebody and have a conversation. Like especially like every once in a while, somebody will come in for business or a friend, or like I meet up with you and like, hey Jen, let's grab a drink.
Right.
You get through 4 words of a conversation and somebody you know comes in.
Or it's super loud.
Yeah.
Or like you happen to like stumble upon like, there's a band. Why is there a band?
Right.
This bar is like 10 feet by 10 feet.
Right.
You offer a selection of 4 beers, but yet you have a band.
I think they have more beers than 4.
In my face. Yeah, that's true. No, Rookies does. Yeah, they do. They got a lot of really good.
Yeah, they have that whole craft
shit.
section.
I can say shit. I can swear a little.
Hey, I'm not letting you be down on Rookies like that. But no, that's exactly it. There's a band there, you're like, oh, it's really good. Or you get drunk. Yeah. And then you don't have
And then every conversation that you had is off record, which we have discussed before we turned on this podcast. That's probably not a bad thing.
No.
Because there's some things recorded that you should burn your computer.
There was a couple. So Jen and I, when we worked together, we were like, do you want to do a podcast on Thursday? Sure. And then we would get shit-faced.
Oh my God. Well, because... Okay.
And then talk about the most ridiculous shit, which was amazingly fun. But,
it was. But we worked together, and like, so the stresses of the day not only affected you, it affected me because I was like your little right hand. Like anything that I knew was funneling into your office, it got to me first. So by the end of the day, end of the week, by Thursday night, the mere fact that we were both still standing and had not murdered each other or ourselves was just a feat.
So it's just a nice release. And then I'll have to dig up that. There's one in particular that we start out, like, it was like tonight where, so I love you. You're one of my favorite people in the world. Yeah. Like, I feel like we could just sit and talk about anything forever and ever. Yeah. But like tonight when you showed up, we just sat and talked about random stuff for a good 30 minutes.
Seriously, what time is it?
It's 6:30 now. So we sat there and just rambling on about, and we're like, whoa, we should save this for the podcast. Right. But it was one of those nights where it was like, give me a stiff drink. Yeah. And then
several more.
2 hours later, we're like, we should turn on the thing and record the podcast.
Oh my God, I do remember that night.
And we were
It literally got to 2.5 hours before we turned on.
Right.
And then I remember at the end of it, you even, like, after you turned it off, you're like, this was pointless. We can't put this on there. We have to turn this off.
It's like if we belong to a church, they'll get rid of us, and maybe the entire town.
Yeah.
Like, they'll run us out of here.
Right. Right.
It was that level of
Yeah.
just stupid
It's like
shit.
my boss might fire me, even though you're my boss. You would probably listen to this and be like, you gotta leave.
Yeah,
you gotta get out.
We can't do
I
this
don't agree
anymore.
with anything you said.
But, so, I don't remember my exact point there, but...
Doing the podcast and being able to talk is we just have to keep it. I brought a bottle of wine.
Mm-hmm.
I brought my favorite. It's a red blend. It's a nice red blend.
See, I love a red wine.
Do you really?
Oh, yeah.
I didn't take you for such a fancy gentleman.
The problem with it is, I drink wine like it's Kool-Aid. So...
Wait, what wine are you drinking? Because if you're drinking old lady dry red wine, you are not chugging that shit like it's Kool-Aid.
So I'm a ham and egger. So if I go into a liquor store, I grab the bottle of just the Lambrusco, like the big...
So you are an old Italian lady. You're your grandmother.
Deep down inside.
There we go.
Little Italiano. Ciao. Bella.
Just give me the bottle of Lambrusco, it's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what I like to do is if you take Coca-Cola with red wine and mix it...
Shut up.
It is delicious.
Why?
It is good.
What kind of red wine? Like a sweet red wine?
I use Lambrusco.
I don't know. I don't think that's a real thing.
You just sometimes
I don't
try
think
it.
that's a real thing. I don't think that should be a real thing.
And I feel like I pressure other people into trying it, and then they just cave and say, "Oh, it's really good," and then I have another glass.
I will not lie to you. I feel like that's an offense to my
good.
system.
But you have to use Coke. You have to use regular Coca-Cola. You can't use Diet. You can't do shitty Pepsi. You have to use real Coca-Cola and mix it with red wine, and it is so good.
But I like regular, just like dry-ass red wine. Speaking of this, oh my God. All right. Am I having a stroke or the lights in here going off and on?
Oh, you're stroking.
I'm having a stroke.
Yes.
All right. Well,
It's okay. No, that one's flashing.
See why? I almost said it right there, but I didn't.
See,
why are you messing with me?
So this room right here, I've had this. So, just to back up, we'll get back to the wine, but just a little aside.
Yeah.
I was saying the other day, like, I kind of want to do a podcast, and I have all this podcast stuff,
You have really nice equipment.
and I have this
Get
room. This room, I have this room we don't really do anything with. I'm thinking about chucking all this shit into another room, all this sticker making stuff.
Yeah.
And
Does Pam still make stickers? No. Okay.
she uses it for some things, but Carol, it's a long story. But anyways, I have this room, and I'm like, why don't I just turn this room into like a dope podcast room?
Yeah, for
and
real.
Get rid of all the workish stuff and just have fun stuff in here, and do more podcasts. And I'm like, I like doing them. And
if you put up like what's the foam or whatever on the walls, like that looks like noses
for
or
the
egg crates,
acoustic stuff,
put that shit up there.
And I started thinking about like, well, what should I do? And I don't like doing a work one because you're at work all day, and then it's like, oh, let's talk about work, and then my work podcast always turn into me bitching.
Right, ruins your soul.
Which I don't want to bitch.
You don't want to do that
constantly.
Like when I walked in here, you're like, I've been drinking since 4, and I'm just like, okay, we won't talk about work then.
And so I sat down. I'm like, well, what would I do? And having a full-time partner is really tough because everybody has different schedules. So trying to get that lined up on a regular basis is a real battle.
Yeah.
But I sat down and I'm like, do I know just 10 interesting people that I could sit down with? And I made a list of 10 fairly quickly, and I'm like, oh, I'm going to do this shit.
Yeah.
So
the fact that you could come up with 10 interesting people that know you like that quickly.
Nobody.
Was it
but
just my name 10 times?
You were the number 10th on the list.
Right.
So 9 people said no.
Lucky number 10.
Yes. So you doing anything next week?
I'm number 2.
Right. But and this goes to anybody that wants to do it. It's fun.
Yeah.
But
I have been doing I listen to podcasts. It's my joy. I don't have to talk to anybody. I get to just chill and ride and listen. All my podcasts are about murder or ghosts or...
Pam gets mad at me all the time because I derive all my knowledge of everything from medical to taxes to business from podcasts.
Yeah.
And she's like, where'd you hear this at? And I'm like, I was listening to a podcast earlier. She's like...
Yeah, But no, these people are educated people. Like, you're not just, like, listening to, like they're, like, professors and shit that come on there and they talk about stuff. They're smart people.
Right.
And then there's people like us who just, like, I got a microphone and I could sit
now I'm an expert
in a chair with a computer.
It's amazing, though. So I've been listening to podcasts for a long time. I don't even remember how I even got...
You told me about the One History podcast. Was it Carl?
Yeah.
Carlton? What's his name?
It's Hardcore History by Dan Carlson.
Carlson? Yes.
Carlin.
Is it Carlin?
Yeah.
Okay.
That is so good.
You told me that about that like years ago.
Mm-hmm.
You were down with that, and I was like, his episodes are like 4 hours long.
Do you know how much work he must put into that?
A lot.
It's ridiculous.
That's commendable.
And it's so good.
Mm-hmm.
It's so good.
I thought about preparing something for tonight, like real people do, and then I didn't.
Well, so I heard something the other day, or a couple weeks ago, and I was thinking like, oh, I want to do podcasts again. It's just fun to do, and I have this room and I have all this stuff, and I heard two things almost back to back.
What?
It says, there are things in life you want to do, you should just do them.
Yeah.
And so, like, I'm like, yeah, why don't I just, what the fuck? I have all this stuff here. Why don't I just
Seriously,
do this?
dude.
And the second thing is, if you're going to do anything, do it like it's your job. And
that's another thing I thought maybe we could, like, talk about or whatever. Like, I'm starting to do the photography thing more.
I so want to talk about that.
You had told me a while ago that if I really love to do something, don't ever make it my profession because I will hate it.
Ruins it.
Yeah. I haven't gotten any, like, returns or, like, bad customers. All my customers have been wonderful. My experiences have been great. But it is so much work.
I heard, but what I heard, it was either a writer, I think it was a writer, and they were talking about writing a book. And he said most people go sit down with their computer and they're like, okay, I have to write my book. They're like, I don't have anything in my head.
Yeah.
So they get up and they go do something else. Mm-hmm. And they said, but you have to, if you want to do anything, you have to do it like it's a job. And they said, you have to write a book or do a podcast like you own a store. So most days you're going to come in at 8 o'clock in the morning, you're going to open the store, you're going to stand around, no customer's going to come in, and you're going to close the store and no customers came in.
Right.
But some days, a lot of customers will come in.
Right.
But if you come in the morning, you're like, oh, shit, there's no customers here.
And then leave.
You'll never have the days where all the customers come.
Right.
And that's the same with writing. It's the same with photography. You have to do it like it's a job.
Yeah.
Like, I am here for this amount of time. I'm putting in this time.
Yeah.
Even if nothing happens, I have to have the nothing happens days.
Right.
So the something happen days happen.
So, like, there might be a podcast that we scream at each other for 2 hours and you have to throw it away. And then we'll get another one that we actually make human sense.
It was really good practice.
It was really good practice.
It was so much fun.
It is a lot of fun. But then, like, I always wonder that because the podcast equipment that you have here is rad. I love it. And it's so big right now that, like, honestly, you can do it. Like, I listen while I'm getting ready for work in the morning. I listen when I'm driving to Rochester to see my boyfriend. I listen when I'm just sitting on the couch working on pictures. I'll put on a podcast and just listen to it. You get information, you get humor, you get the ha-has.
And you know about things that there's no other way. It's so weird.
I'm not going to read about that. I was a writing major. I had to read for, like, 4 years. And, like, I'm like, oh, my love of reading. No. Makes me tired, and I have to focus just on that. I have other stuff to do.
Right.
I have a dog
you
to
can
yell
just
at.
multitask, and then every once in a while you can be like, wait, what?
Yeah.
And you back it up and go,
15.
I thought that's just to get through the ads.
Nope. That's when I completely miss, like, an entire part of the podcast, and all of a sudden they're like, and then they found their murdered bodies, and I'm like, oh shit, I just missed a whole entire section. What happened?
One of my favorites that I've started listening to. And it's, I can't remember the girl's name. There's 2 girls. The name of the podcast is called Guys We Fucked.
What?
Yes.
Really?
So these two chicks are like comedians, and they just started a podcast that's about guys they fucked.
And they talk about the encounter specifically, or just the kind of gentleman that is involved?
So they started out the podcast. It's grown since then, and now it encapsulates everything female and but they call it the anti-slut shaming podcast at the very beginning.
I love that.
But in the very beginning, they actually had their old boyfriends or dudes they slept with come on the podcast.
Stop it.
Yes, and we're like, so how is this for you? And explore that whole thing. It's super fascinating.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
How have I not heard about this? I'm a
know.
bad feminist. Also, I'm a bad feminist. I went to Gettysburg this last weekend.
How does that make you a bad feminist?
Hold on. The plot thickens, my friend. So I go by myself. It's the first time I go to Gettysburg by myself. I've always wanted to do it by myself because I'm just like...
So you just went solo?
Yeah, I just wanted to be like, oh, I want to walk around, I want to do things. And I get there and then I'm like, I have no idea what to do. Like, I've always been with people. I've always had Lucy be like, I want to go here. Or somebody with me that's never been, and I have to show them. I'm just by myself. I go, what immediately do I do?
I have no idea.
I go to a wine tasting.
Oh, why wouldn't you?
Because there's no, like, it's not like, let's walk around and look at the historic value. It's like, this winery is new. So I wandered in. I got in there. I was the only one in there. All of a sudden, this girl comes up. She's like, we have a party coming in. How many people can you accommodate? And I'm just like, oh, God, what's happening? So it wasn't even a lot. It was like 6 people, but they all belly up, and we all do the wine tasting together.
So you just invited yourself into their, like, little group?
I made friends with a 60-year-old woman who was, like, super rad, and we were talking about the wines. But while I'm in the winery, having myself a wine tasting, I hear, like, the beats of, like, drums outside, and I'm like, the hell's going on? I look outside, it's a women's march in Gettysburg, and I watch it walk by the window as I'm slamming wine on the inside. I'm like, wow, I'm a really shitty patriot, but I'm a really good drunk, so I'm giving to the economy. I'm just not helping anyone at all. Yeah,
I'm really, like, on the struggling side of all the women's march stuff.
Anyone that peacefully gives their voice to something that they feel passionately about, I'm down with it.
Right. Like,
I'm a huge fan of it.
I'm not saying, like, don't do that, but I'm starting to get to the point where I'm just like, yes. I know.
I feel like
I feel like an asshole as a guy having that point of view, but it's just like, okay, like, a woman almost became president.
Real close.
A shitty woman.
We're
not to get into
get
politics,
there.
but like a person that you can look at and go, not really the perfect candidate.
Well, you have to look at
but almost made it. So like,
she's a candidate. It doesn't matter. Like, yes, it's awesome that she was a woman, and like we almost got there. But like, she's a candidate either way.
Right.
You have to look
at
people on their merit, whether it's male or female, which I think is like. I think the wave, the tide, the hubbub, the crash right now about like women being like, see me, recognize me, this is what's going on, is the crescendo to just, it's a candidate, it's a person, it's a worker, it's a friend. It's not male or female. You have to look at people like on their merit. So to look at like Hillary, you have to look at her on her merit. So that's why a lot of people are just like, because you just look at the merit.
Right.
So.
But I guess what's weird to me is I don't know how change happens, I guess, any other way. But when I look at the world, if you told me tomorrow that the CEO of Exxon is a woman, I would have been like, no way. They're letting a girl run that shit?
Oh my God, women!
I would just be like, okay.
Yeah.
Like, it's, so I feel like we've
last job that I had,
come a long ways.
the job that I worked for the healthcare company, I encountered so many female CEOs. It was unbelievable. Like in the healthcare field where I was at, it was literally like it would be just a room full of women, and they would be CEOs of companies. They'd be running that shit, and I would just be like, it was super rad to see, like. But also on top of it, it was just like, they know their shit. As a candidate, as a person, as a qualified person, I'm like, they got this shit.
I honestly, especially, and you hate to get into who's good at what, gender-wise, but I would a million times rather have a female in charge of anything to do with healthcare.
Yeah.
Like, it just, they're better at it.
Yeah.
They really are. Like, they're more caring and compassionate and a little more thoughtful, where, you know, you can typically stereotype a male to being more nuts and bolts and dollars and cents and,
right.
You know what I mean?
I mean, there were male in, like, the healthcare profession, but it's like, again, you have to go on, like, personal merit. And, like,
Right.
when it comes to, like, seeing all the women out there, it's like, clearly we're better at this. My little brother has absolutely no problem at calling out, like, men do this, women do this. And I think he just does it to, like, poke beehives and just be like, fight with me.
But that's
fight with me.
what's so weird about that to me is it's true. It's like...
There are some levels where it's true. Like, I kind of thought about this earlier about, like, there are just certain things that, like, some people can do better than other people because it's just, like, they're physically
able to.
to. Like, I can't... Okay, when I worked here, for example, I'm sure there are women out there who can work on cars. They can work on cars probably better than you. When I worked here, however, it's not that just, I'm a chick, I don't know what's going on. I never learned about cars. I don't know anything about aftermarket diesel parts. That's not true. I still have,
You still have some knowledge?
I still have some Ford diesel part knowledge up in my brain. Like Dee, on her car, she has the engine light on, and she's like, I don't know what it could be. I'm like, it's probably just a spark plug that misfired. I'm like, you probably need to take that out.
Spitting things out.
But she has she's got a really old engine. What's the old engine? 7.3? She's got an old engine, and she's like, you have to rip that thing apart to fix the spark plug. And I'm just like, well, if it's all...
Injector.
It's not
spark plug.
Sorry,
But,
injector.
I mean,
Close!
I just wanted to blow you down.
That's okay, thank you.
You were in the ballpark.
I was close.
Right.
But she said that you have to rip it apart. I'm like, well, if it was just a misfire, then you really don't need to, like, worry about it unless it starts,
Right.
making... So, but... For me personally, I don't know.
What drives me nuts about that is there are men who are raised exactly the same that wouldn't have the slightest idea about it, and nobody goes to them. Well, you need to get in there.
Yeah.
Like, there's just people that like certain things, and if you don't like that thing, I don't feel like anybody should be held back. That's where I get weird with all the sexual harassment stuff that's going on now. All right. There's unpleasant...
All right.
Well, what drives me nuts is there's unpleasant experiences that we all experience in life. And everybody's been on both sides of a bad experience. And then there's gross shit.
Then there's unlawful, terrible, horrible
criminal
shit.
Stuff.
Criminal shit. Yeah.
Where, like, we were talking about Aziz there.
Yeah.
That, I don't know. Like, they were on a date and they did some things.
Right.
And the next day she's like, I don't know. I really
I'm on two planes of that. One, I really like how speak out, find your voice. Something went wrong. However, I feel like there's some shit that is criminal and awful and terrible, and like to go through something that's so detrimental and like actually, be like forcefully in an alley, like held down, like physically assaulted kind of thing. And then like my date was like, he didn't pick up on my signals kind of thing. Like I appreciate like she speaks out and she felt uncomfortable and she felt like that's what she had to do that. Well, however, our reaction to things, because I think everything is so like instant. I get updates on my phone when shit happens. Like I got an update on my phone when this, I don't know, CNN's like blah blah blah. I'm just like, it's so instant that it's just like now everyone has an opinion. Now everyone's screaming at each other, and it's just like take what people say on their word. Like listen. Just listen.
Well, and then the other thing I think has happened a little bit is, so like when the Bill Cosby stuff was coming out, you're like, Bill Cosby.
There's no way.
He's America's whatever.
He's America's black dad.
Yeah, and you're like, there's no way he was, and then you're like, there's like 12.
But he is.
28.
But he totally is.
37. Now we're up to 65, and you're like, well, there might be something to this. Are you serious?
There's like 65.
There's a zillion of them.
2,400. Yeah, there's a lot.
But I guess what kills me about a lot of them, and the other asshole there, the producer guy.
Oh yeah. Weinstein.
Yeah. That's just straight grossness. Like, you want to be in this movie?
That is straight abuse of power.
Yeah, like you want to do this? Well, do this. And
horrible human being.
And then who just is like, hey, why don't you come up to or go get so-and-so, have her come up to my hotel room. I'm just going to be in a robe.
Yeah.
Just my junk hanging out.
Just
like
because I can.
So weird. And then what I get about all of this is, all these I hear, like when they're talking like, why'd you stay? I didn't know what to fucking do.
Yeah.
I was there. It was
no,
weird.
that's a real thing.
But the ones where it's starting to drive me nuts is there's definite assaults, and then there's awkward situations. And if we were listening to a podcast last night, Pam and I, and we kind of got into this little argument about it, and I could be completely wrong. But hear me out, Your Honor. Hear me out. It was a woman. She said it was Whitney Cummings. Do you know who that is? She was on the show Whitney.
Oh yeah. All right, got it.
So she said a long time ago she was working on a set of some sort, and she's standing around, and it was a coworker, and she's standing around, and they're having some conversation, and she doesn't really go into the details of what exactly was going on. But long story short, a male coworker took his hand, kind of swiped it through her ass crack, and said something about processing a credit card.
Oh, for Christ's sake.
And she was kind of going on about how this was so terrible or whatever. So, she's carrying this with her.
Yeah.
And the other person's like, well, what'd you do? Oh, I really didn't do anything. I didn't know what to do. Everybody's laughing. I was just like, And so that probably should never happen under any circumstance. Okay? But on the same time, people make bad instant snap judgments and do impulsive things sometimes.
Right.
And maybe after that was over, the guy was like, ugh,
Shouldn't
I don't
have
know
done
what
that.
the fuck I did that.
Right.
I was going for the joke. But
I think, honestly...
But let me finish real quick.
All right.
Just real quick.
I have ideas.
If he did it again the next day...
Oh, yeah.
Like, I get in that moment, she's like, I don't know what to do. I didn't tell him to go fuck himself.
Okay.
I didn't know what to do.
Right.
But if he comes in the next day and he's like, sing credit card.
Right.
And you're like, I don't know what to do. Like, no. You know what to fucking do. You go, don't do that anymore, motherfucker.
All right. And
Stop
also that
doing
proves his reoccurrence of being a scumbag.
Right.
Right.
But if it
was
If
repeated behavior.
it was a one and done thing and it never happened again.
Right. Then he just made an error in judgment.
Yeah.
And
that's where a lot of this stuff is getting this weird
gray
and then everybody's
area.
sitting around going, I don't know if I should even talk to this person anymore
Right.
because what if I say something that's...
I think you kind of have to base things on your own judgment. Like, you have to be like, okay, well, I heard about it, but here's the thing. I, appreciate, the culture now where it's like, people are being held responsible for the shit that the terrible shit that they did, as they should. Once people come out and they say it like these thing or whatever, once they come out and say it, that they said it out loud. Now, if they want to pursue some kind of legal matter or whatever, that's up to them. It's also up to us to take whatever anybody said and you can form an opinion on it, but honestly, it's not really my place to be like, he should do this or she should do that.
Right.
That's their traumatic incident, how they deal with it and how they felt about it, both of them. It happens, and I want people to, men, women, all the way around, to be more aware of their behavior. I want clearly people who are awful to be prosecuted right away. But just the fact that it's out there and making people aware of how they act, that's awesome. But individual cases, it's I don't who I almost said it. Who the heck am I to be he should do this and she should do this and this should happen and this should blah 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 blah. I live in Bradford, Pennsylvania. I don't my opinion on things, it means absolutely nothing. But what I can say is that just be aware, and this is more of hey, asshole,
right,
stop being an asshole.
What I was starting to say was we were with the Bill Cosby thing where we're like, this really, I mean, we couldn't have happened. And then there's been so many of them that now we're completely as soon as anybody says, so-and-so, like Aziz, so-and-so assaulted me, and you're like, fuck that guy.
Yeah.
Fuck another one of these motherfuckers.
Yeah.
And then you start to listen to the story, it's kind of going the other way.
Yeah.
Where before you're like, no way.
Yeah. Well,
and you hear the story and you're like,
it's a jump to...
And now you're crucified immediately, and then you hear the story and you're like, well, wait, that one sounds awful.
Really?
But this one doesn't.
Anytime in life, forever and ever and ever, being level-headed is incredibly difficult to do. It comes to like, you know, Lucy's 15, and there are some days that I don't understand what's happening in her face, and I just want to be like, what are you doing? Why are you yelling at me right now? But I have to stay level-headed. Hearing something about somebody or reading a news story or this and that, like, you have to stay level-headed, and you just have to be like, what is happening? Listen, just listen again. Like, and it's so hard to do.
I know.
Because everybody is just like, I can yell too. I can type faster than you.
And the amount of stuff that you read and see bombarded all day long,
Inundated.
especially with like headline stuff, where you can go 3 or 4 days just believing a headline that leads you a certain way, and then you finally get a minute while you're pooping or something to actually read the article.
You have to, like, if you actually read it.
And you're like, wait,
Yeah.
what?
Yeah. Yeah.
The headline doesn't even make what?
Yeah.
What?
A friend of mine on Facebook today actually said this, and it made sense, and it made me super sad. There was a shooting yesterday in Kentucky. I think 2 15-year-old kids got shot in a school, and she's like, I would like to live in a place or a country where, like, you see a school shooting and you're horrified. But now it's like scroll. Oh, that's sad. Scroll.
Right.
It's like 2 children got shot in the middle of a school, and it barely, like, did you even know about it?
I saw somebody post something about a school shooting.
Right.
But you didn't know exactly what they're talking about exactly.
Yeah.
And I kind of have a theory or a feeling about all of this.
Really?
I think the problem is we just have too many people. I mean, think about this. Like, if you go back to the 80s,
Okay.
I don't have the numbers in front of me for the population, but there's like 100 million more people than there was at the beginning of the 80s.
So
my point is, if you and I were stuck in this building, just the 2 of us,
okay.
we could figure it out. Like, there wouldn't be a problem.
Right.
If a 3rd person came, a 4th person, a 5th person,
Okay.
we'd figure it all out. At some point, we're going to get to a point where we have 100 people here, and we're going to be like, all right, look, 75 of you motherfuckers have to stay down there in the shop, and the rest of us are coming up here where it's nice.
Right.
And then there'll be 200 people.
And then mayhem.
300 people, then 400 people. And at some point, there's just no way to control all that.
Yeah.
And I think we're reaching this level of, there's just too many fucking people.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know what the answer to that is.
Yeah.
But.
Yeah. I think it goes along with the whole, like, as soon as something is released, you get notice of it, and then everyone starts screaming at each other.
Right.
And it's like the thinking and the actual, like, rational conversation kind of goes by the wayside, because it's like, now it's like defending yourself, or now it's, and like, you lose the issue when you do this.
Right.
When you have a conversation with thousands of people,
That everybody's
no one's right.
And everybody's
No one
hearing
is
it
right.
completely different.
Right.
So I guarantee you could take 10 people and play back this podcast to 10 different people, and they would feel at least 9 different ways.
Yep.
And they'd be like, I can't believe he said that. I can't believe she said that. Yep, damn right. Fuck him. Like, and it's the same words.
Yeah.
And it comes down to how you took it more than intention sometimes.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes intention's there. But so we have all these people. So we have this huge population of people. It's blowing up out of control. And we've had the dumbest fucking people in the world raising kids. I mean, when you think about it.
Yeah.
Like, I'm looking at and I don't mean dumb like stupid dumb. I mean like uneducated dumb.
Right.
Would you be okay with a doctor who went to college in the 60s doing heart surgery today?
Yeah.
Going off the same textbooks that he learned in the 60s and 70s.
All right.
But,
I see your point.
But our parents learned how to be parents from their parents back in the 60s.
Yeah.
In a completely different world.
I had the conversation with my mom last night because, again, Lizzie, teenager, things are getting rough. She's almost 16. She is defiant. Oh, God, is she defiant. Like, we've reached the age where I'm like, I say no, and she goes, well, I'll just do it anyway. Oh, will you now? But then it dawned on me, like, she could, like, the other morning, she refused to get up for school. Wouldn't do it. Like, I stood over her bed, like, shaking her bed. I'm like, get up, you have to go to school. And she's just like, she'd look up at me and be like, no. What am I going to do? Drag her ass out of bed? She's bigger than me.
And you can probably figure out somewhere that she's getting that, I don't want to say idea from.
What are you hinting at?
But no.
What are you saying? Are you going?
I meant in this day and age, you can have any crazy idea, and you can search online and find support for it.
Support for your, I don't think we should, yeah.
I was thinking about, like, for example, so I came home a week or so ago, and I come into the living room, and my 5-year-old daughter has shit spread everywhere in there, and she's making a diorama, I think it's called. It's like a shoebox turned on side. It's like a little scene.
Yeah, you got it.
And I'm like, and it's I remember it was a Monday night, and I said, "What are you doing?" She's like, "I'm making this diorama. We have to do this beach scene thing, blah 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 blah." And I'm like, "Oh, okay. What are you doing that for?" For school, we have to have them in by Friday, and it's Monday night, and she's like, she has construction paper and shit all over the place, but she has her iPad flipped up on its little holder. And Googled, or I'm sure Pam probably typed it in for her, but has Googled imaged dioramas.
Yeah.
Beach dioramas.
Ah.
So I'm sitting there going, this kid's 5.
Yeah.
And she's doing this school project all by herself, looking at Google images. Mm-hmm. When I was 5, I was outside eating dirt.
Right.
Like,
and if you had a project to do, your parents were helping you because you had no idea.
Like, the best you could do would be get a encyclopedia that was written 15 years ago.
Right.
And pull up diorama and be like, I don't fucking know.
I have no idea what I'm doing.
Where now, like, there's nothing that nobody doesn't know anymore.
Yeah.
And that's what
or have
I'm
access
saying.
to.
Right. So
to
that's
at
what I was
least
saying.
attempt to.
Nobody is equipped to parent this.
No.
Like,
no.
We were not raised to parent this. And then our parents, like, the shit that they were dealing with, I mean, a walkie-talkie was pretty high-tech communication.
Right.
Like,
my mom's giving me advice
phone.
on Lucy on like what to do now, and I'm just like, Mom, I will listen to any parent who has advice on raising a teenager. If you have advice, please get a hold of me because I have no idea what I'm doing. But like, I will listen to any parent who has raised their child. Like I'm alive. My brother is alive. We're both like functioning members of society. Andrew is getting there, and like. We're there, and my mom went through all of this mess, but now, like, when she's, like, telling me, like, she is, like, stern on, well, you need to do this, you need to do this, you need to do this, and I'm like, Mom, you raised me in the 80s.
Different world.
It's different now.
Right.
Like...
It'd be like doing heart surgery today,
right.
even off an 80s textbook.
Right.
You'd be like,
It's...
Yeah, no thanks.
Yeah. And it's... There's enough population... Man, I'm proving your point for you. There's enough population. There's so many people out there that the generation of like 3, 4, 5 generations ago are still here. And they're still with their mindset. And then there's another mindset. And then there's another.
And then, well, I think there's a bridge. And the millennial term drives me bonkers.
Lucy said that last night. She's like, you're a millennial. I'm like, no, I'm not. No, I'm not.
Gen X, bitch.
Yeah. I'm like, I was born in 81. I'm in that weird little window where like we were promised great things. And then it wasn't delivered at all. You were just told you won't get great things, probably.
And that's what I was just going to say was so you have our parents who were like, you get a good job and you get a pension and we work for 1,000 years and then we get a gold watch. And then we're kind of in the middle. We're like, I don't know about that.
No.
But I'm going to really work hard-ish.
Yeah.
And then you have the next generation where they're going, none of that bullshit's going to happen.
No.
And then you have kids, like how you keep a kid motivated to like go to school, get good grades so you can get a good, I don't know. And then I feel like society has also went from, we had that weird, the dude that does the Lincoln commercial, Matthew McConaughey character.
I can't believe you forgot Matthew McConaughey.
Sorry.
You love him.
My brain doesn't work as good
as
it
You
used
bought a Lincoln because of Matthew McConaughey.
But you have that, like, you used to have that weird Matthew McConaughey character in your life.
Yeah.
Who's like, school is bullshit, bro. Just get a job. Fuck that.
Working for the summer.
Yeah. And he was like the crazy weird one where you're like, yeah, motherfucker.
Yeah.
You stand there and smoke cigarettes and I'm going to college. I'm going to get a job. And then I think everybody has sort of shifted more towards Matthew McConaughey where they're like, This is all bullshit.
Yeah.
Like, it's all bullshit.
Yeah. When I worked at the place that I worked before, the job that I have now, I was working and, like, my boss was asking about, she was saying something about asking people to stay over or put in more time or do. And she asked, like, a younger member of the team to, like, you know, stay or whatever. And she's like, she just doesn't, or she didn't, or something like that. And I'm like, well, she doesn't have to. What she's learned is that, like, she can get what we, like, would research for hours and books and internet and blah, blah, blah. She knows exactly where to go to get it. She knows exactly what to do to get it done. She can get done on, you know, she can Google something, or she can make a website in 2 hours, where the people before would be like, this is going to take me about a week to do.
Right.
So her turnover time is way less than ours. So to ask to stay over or to work extra is
time.
Not in their, you know, in their
just the
line of vision.
Mere fact that you can go places and not have any fucking idea where you're going.
Yeah.
Google or Siri, I want to go to New York City. Boop. Turn left at Mike's Bakery.
My God, do you remember still printing off directions?
Yeah. And I haven't done it.
Or like a map.
Right.
I actually did that. I took a map, because at the office we have PA maps. I took a highlighter, and I highlighted, like, all these weird little side roads and stuff, because, like, the GPS will be like, just take the highway, idiot, and you'll get there in no time. Fast, everything's fast. I took, like, the most ridiculous. I took Route 44. I don't even know if you know where that is. That goes right down through the state. It's a back road.
Fuck nowhere.
Yeah, and it was awesome.
Right.
There were waterfalls all over the place. I was cocoa for Cuckoo Puffs. It was fucking great.
So.
Damn it! That was my one.
You did it.
I did it.
You could have slipped. I feel like you could have slipped that one right by. I think you could have snuck it right through if you wouldn't have made a deal.
No.
But that makes me wonder about something.
What?
So you said waterfalls. So here's.
Are you gonna start singing TLC?
No.
Please.
It's always going in my head, but I'm not gonna sing. But what I was gonna say was, question for you. So for those that don't know, Jen is super into photography and does an amazing job at it.
Thank you, John.
But how do you, so every once in a while, if I'm doing anything, I'm like, oh, this is really awesome. I just take a picture of it. And then I take a picture of it, and I'm like, I'm just going to put this on my Instagram.
Yeah.
But you constantly have, like, these amazing shots. So how does it work for you? Like, what are you looking for? Like, is it the same thing as going to work?
It's madness.
And you just take 12,000 shots and 6 are good? Or are you constantly walking around going, oh, that's awesome, I got to take a picture?
Yeah.
Or do you go, that's awesome, and I'm going to take 30 shots of that and one's going to be good? Or
no, it's madness. Like, when I see something that is, like, incredibly, like, I think it's anybody with any kind of, like, arts or dedication, passion about something. Like, I know that, like, you can see, like, a truck or, like, something like that and be like, that could benefit by having...
Thanks for judging.
I absolutely judge. I could judge all day. But if you see something and be like, that would look cool with blah, blah, blah on it. I see, like, when I go out and, like, I am just, like, driving and I'll see, like, fog, like, coming in, like, so thick it's like a blanket. It looks like you could walk out on it and be totally safe, even though you can't. It's moisture and you'll fall to your death. Don't do it. But I see it and I'm like, I need to take 84 pictures of it. Like, I will get down on the ground, I'll crawl around, I'll do whatever it takes to get what is in my brain to get out. But there are also moments where I'm like, I'll just be walking and I'll have my camera and my boyfriend will be with me and he'll be like, that's beautiful. And I'm like, yes, it is absolutely gorgeous. And I won't be taking a picture of it. And he's like, you're not gonna, and I'm like, no, because if I can't get how gorgeous it is in real life, if I can't make that transpose onto a picture to give to people, I'm not even going to try it because I'm going to dumb it down.
You just know that from experience? Like, I can't catch this because of the light or the angle?
The angle, what I have on me, like if my equipment that I have on me is not like digging, like not into it, then I can't do it. So, like, but it is madness. It's crazy. Like, everywhere I go, I'm just like, ha, 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 ha.
So if you were going to go to a place and it's a beautiful scene, and we see one great picture, like it's the sun and the fog and the whatever. Like a lot of your Gettysburg pictures are. I said Gettysburg, really weird there. But anyways,
Actually, it's probably more correct.
well, I'm from Pennsylvania, so I'm from here. I'm native. But how many? So if there's that one picture that I get them. I see them all the time on my Facebook, and I'm always like, I should buy that, and then I'm like, I don't know what I do with it.
Right.
But that's my problem with all that stuff. I should just hang one of those up somewhere. But anyways, long story short, when you're scrolling through it and it's this awesome, perfect shot, how many
other ones don't you see?
99% shots were there?
Yeah, pretty much. That's it. Like, I think the last trip to Gettysburg, I downloaded the shots and I had 250. I ended up posting 9.
So.
Yeah, and it's not like
bad. It's like 5%.
It's not like the other ones were terrible. It's just they're the same thing.
Right.
And like what I think it was you actually who I took a bunch of pictures of like stuff in here. And I was like, they're all pretty good. And you're like, yeah, well, we don't need all of these. We just need one that looks good. And like I took that and I was like, yeah, you're right. Like they all kind of look the same. We just need one that looks good. They're all kind of similar, but I just picked this one. I doctored it up. I did a thing and off we go. But I need that, like, I suffer over each and individual picture that I'm just like, this is the one. This looks so good. Because, like...
Are you looking at it, though, like, this is what I was curious about. Are you looking at it from the start? Like, oh my God, this is an amazing picture. Or is it just more of a reflective, or, you know what I mean? Like a reaction to...
It's both.
Oh, that's pretty click, 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 click. And then later you're like, fuck, I didn't think I'd get that.
Yeah.
That's really good.
There are both. There are ones
really?
that I'm just like, I didn't think that would work out, but oh my God, look at this. And then there are others that I'm just like, I really want this to work. And I'll take 400 and not one of them will work for me. Not one of them. Other people will look at it and be like, this is amazing. And I'll be like, this didn't at all get what it actually was, so I'm not doing anything with it. It's just gone now.
It didn't work.
Didn't work.
And the reason I asked you this was, so I've started doing a thing, whereas, sounds so
You're
stupid.
taking upshots on yourself with your cell phone.
No.
Into the bathroom.
No, never.
Don't do that.
Never do that. Never.
Never do that.
There's never been a situation in my life where I'm like, I should send a dick pic. Ever.
See? That's a good idea.
Thank
you for thinking that through.
Anybody that ever, you hear about that, you're like, wait, what? Like, you're like...
When did you think this? When?
What? You know what?
I want to know.
You know what's got this party started? If I sent a picture of... Anyways.
I want to know what fired in your brain.
Right, like, what? How did this play out for you? Like, what was the text you were going to get back? Like, nice. I'm on my way over. Like, it's never
what situation did you want this to create? Because no.
Just no.
It didn't do it.
Like, if I go somewhere during the day, I've started not posting pictures right away. So if I see something that's like we went riding last weekend, Piper and I went riding.
Oh, yeah, I saw
and
that.
I just randomly through the day just pull my phone out and just wasn't even like trying to take pictures. I was just like click, 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 click. And at the end of the day, I kind of look through them all and I'm like, oh, that one's good. That sucks. That one's good.
Yeah.
That sucks. That's good. But I just posted 3 good ones.
Yeah.
Where probably a year ago, I was just taking a picture and post, take a picture and post, take a picture and post. And what I noticed is you catch shit and you don't even realize you're catching it in that moment. Like a little look or a smile or somebody in the background or something until later that you're going through. Where if you were just going for the perfect moment, it's not going to happen.
Never going to happen.
Right.
Like, the whole, like, it's a double-edged sword, man, with this whole technology shit, where it's just like, you know, everything is always, we're inundated all the time. But also, like, now I have the option, I just take the shot. That's, like, always in my brain.
It doesn't cost anything.
It doesn't cost anything. I have the little cards that you stick in the
But you're
camera.
not burning film or anything like you used to.
Nope. Just take the shot. Just take the shot. We'll figure it out later. And, like, that's the thing that, like, it's just take the shot, and sometimes you're gonna, like, there's this one picture that I took that it's like this little, like, dragonfly, like, landed on, like, a leaf, and it was super rad, and I took a picture, But then underneath, there's just these little bugs that are just like looking up at the dragonfly. And I didn't even realize it until after I took it later and I blew it up. And I'm like, ha!
That's awesome.
He's got friends.
Right.
But you just have to take the shot and then figure it out later.
So where can people go to see your pictures? Because they're awesome.
They
are.
They're so nice. I have Jenn Stillman Photography on the Facebook. And I also have Jenn Stillman at Threadless, which...
What's Threadless?
Threadless is it's like a third party where they do... it's not so much Etsy where, like, you make a product and then you put it on there and you're the seller. Threadless is the seller. I upload my stuff to their site.
And they like, print it?
Yeah. They take care of everything. I don't make a whole lot off of each picture, but it's still, like, I don't know. I just get, like... Steven Tyler PJs about like somebody buying something of mine. I might not make a lot off of it, but it's still just like somebody looked at my stuff and then they bought my stuff and I was excited about it. So, but it's like t-shirts, tapestries, shower curtains.
So basically you could take your image and get it on multiple whatever they sell.
I just upload the image and then they do the rest of the work. But Jenn Stillman Photography on Facebook, I control all of that, which... Thank God for you, because now I know how to sell things. Now I know when I get a sale, I know how to work.
So do you get your, like, how does that work? So somebody goes on Facebook and they see a picture and they're like, wow, that's awesome. I want that.
Just comment on it. Just say, wow, that's amazing. I want that. And I'll message you back and I'll be like, what size?
Oh, okay.
And then they'll say whatever size and I'll be like, I'll get them a price. And then I'll send them a PayPal invoice. Nice. Which I learned how to do.
So do you just print, like you go to a photo place and they print that out and then you ship them to people?
I have a place that I go to for my prints. And the prints, I've compared them. And like, sometimes they were bad customer service to me, not to my customers. I make sure that my customers are taken care of, which is another thing that I learned from working with you. It was so hard to like not yell at these people. But I'm like, I know how this works. I worked at the little power shop, and I got
a funny customer service story for you after this, but yeah.
Cannot wait. So, but I know that like, don't be mean to them. They're just customer service reps. They're doing their best. So like, sometimes they were like not awesome to me, but as long as my customer got it, then we're all good.
All good.
But I go through them and like I've compared. I've printed out from other places and got prints and looked at them. The quality is just like. Really, really good. Really? And they're going to look good.
So what is your main customer? Is it like one and done sort of people? Or do you get people that like buy one and then they watch your stuff and become like a fan and just keep buying one?
Once I get a customer, they have multiple bought.
Oh, that's awesome.
So that makes me feel good that like it's actually like worked out, it's done.
But this is what I was saying earlier. And it's in a good way, where through technology and social media and there being so many people, there is a certain group of people who are perfect for the art that you do.
Yeah.
And then once they find you, like it's like that for everything, and good or bad. Like if there's a bad thing, there's a certain amount of people that are grouping around that bad thing.
Yeah,
they find each other and it's worse.
Right.
Whereas, really, it is. But whereas I think it's really cool right now, where you can put out. I mean, even just like this podcast, there's a certain amount of people, and it might take a while for them to all figure it out. They go, oh, that's exactly how I feel about things. I like this, and there's people that say I hate this, but. There is a group of people, I guarantee you, no matter how minuscule, that are fans of that. So once they start realizing, like, oh, I really like this kind of photography, I really like these pictures, this is my thing.
Right. And I think you have to find what medium is right for you to get your product, idea, whatever it is across. Like Jason, my boyfriend, like he does
some amazing shit.
Oh my God. The funny part about this gentleman is, and I love him so much because he's such a solid human being.
I don't know if I've ever actually met him in person yet.
Really? That's why I was disappointed you didn't have a Christmas party this year, because I was going to bring him and introduce him to all you crazy assholes.
I'm getting old, Jen.
I know, but like we can put a time limit.
Right.
You don't have to throw the vegetable tray across the garage. So we can have a calm.
As I get older,
nice.
I'm starting to realize, like, you know what? You need to not put yourself in the situations where things can get out of control because I will just take the ball and run with it. So
I appreciate your self-actualization. I like it. But I'm still saying I would have liked a Christmas party because I would have liked to introduce him. But
we could still have any sort of other random party. And
we could. We should just call it random party and then everyone just show up.
Right.
That'd be cool. There'd be snacks. I could have my mom cater.
I love your mom.
I know, my mom's a great caterer.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, Jason, like, his medium is on site because number one, he's a tattoo artist,
right.
which my tattoo itches really badly, but I'm not smacking it because that would sound weird.
It looked like you were, I have the attention span of a gnat.
Bye.
I saw you were getting a tattoo, and I'm like, oh, that's really cool. And I've never thought about it again until this moment.
No, it's like from right above my knee to like right underneath my hip. It's the whole way.
What is it?
It's for my grandparents because I lost both grandfathers last year. My grandfather Sapellis went first in January, and my grandfather Stillman went in February, 6 weeks.
Tough year.
It was, last year sucked. But they were amazing human beings. Just gracious, funny, caring, gorgeous human beings who raised me into the dickhead I am today. And so after they passed, I'm like, I want to get a tattoo that means something that I'll look down and be like, oh, that's for Grandpa. So I have deer antlers surrounding it. I have tobacco leaves for my grandfather Stillman because he never smoked a filtered cigarette in his life.
Really?
Yeah.
And how old do you live?
Almost 90.
Fucking.
Yeah. Unfiltered Camels the whole way through. They even told him to, like, stop smoking. And he's like, no. And he just went home and smoked more. And then he took up drinking in his 80s. He took up drinking.
He tried that out in his 80s?
Well, because he had nothing else to do. So I have the tobacco leaves for my grandfather, and then I have a giant rose for my grandmother, a sunflower for my other grandmother, a raven, just because they're super cool. And then Jason's just coloring it all in.
So was it like a freehand thing you did, or like how?
Kind of.
So again,
I told him what I wanted, and then he was just like, all right, sit. And then, boop, boop.
He didn't plan it out beforehand?
Nope.
He just drew it?
Nope, just drew it.
Damn.
Yeah. And then his pottery is like, if you've seen that, it's
the only thing I've seen.
Ridiculous.
I've seen lots of different tattoo things that looks like he's amazing. Mm-hmm. And then I saw every once in a while, I don't know what the reason or purpose is, but he's doing the painted
body
paint stuff.
He was on the RuPaul show.
Oh, really?
The Fresh Paint or whatever it is. The RuPaul show, like he met RuPaul. He's like, really nice guy.
I hate those body paint things. Because I start to feel like a creep.
I hate it.
No, I start to feel like a creep when I'm trying to figure out if they're wearing underpants or not.
Oh yeah! No, I do the same thing.
Like you're looking at it.
No, I look at I look and see if they're wearing pasties.
Right.
That's another thing that I do.
Are they just naked?
Yeah.
Or is the paint covering this up really, really well?
No, being with Jason is like I can pick that shit out right away, and also like I know the like wearing underpants or pasties is like a really big kind of pain in the ass.
Because you have to make it
for
blend.
The painter, because you have to like make sure that they're adhering properly, they're not going to move, that the latex that you put on to make it.
Because that's what I always wonder about. Like, if it shifts a little bit, everything's fucked.
Yeah, it just ruins the whole design. So you have to like make sure that it's steady on the person's body and like how it works with their body shape. Like, you can't have things cut in. You have to make sure everything... Like, it is a whole thing.
So how long does it take to paint somebody like that from start to finish?
He did... Did you see the one where he did the Escher? MC Escher does the whole, like... it was like the woodcut...
Oh, yes.
Yeah, he did that for the Memorial Art Gallery, the MAG, up at the University of Rochester.
Yeah, I did see
He did
that.
the thing where, like, she goes into the painting. That took him, I'm going to say probably like 6 hours.
Oh my God.
To do.
So the person just has to sit there completely still?
His model, Bridget, is a woman amongst women. She stood there, her tiny little frame, she's like 90 pounds, and it was freezing. I was cold and I was fully dressed. She just stood there and she didn't move, she didn't shake, she didn't complain. He painted her on the front and on the back. And she didn't say
You have to be a pretty
word.
secure person to stand there like that.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Just let somebody paint
She went
them.
up into a gallery and had, like, the head of the gallery take pictures of her, a curator. She was in the paper.
So what?
Her full front.
Is this, so when you do things like that, is it a paying gig, or is it just for the art?
I don't know if that's paying. Some
promotional, or like how does that, like how, this is what I'm curious about. Like,
yeah.
So how does this happen? So the gallery is...
You're just like, I'm going to put paint on people.
Yeah, like...
And they're going to look like a thing.
Like, is somebody having a meeting somewhere and like, I want to have the best party ever. I want to have some of them people get painted and don't have clothes on. And you're like, oh.
I know a guy.
I always break everything down to like Ricky Bobby.
I like to imagine my party with a woman painted like my wall. And she's standing up and her arms are widespread. Yes, I understand. I honestly, like, I like to take pictures, and I have an eye for that. But other than that, I wouldn't, like, qualify myself as artistic. Jason's brain is constantly going in some kind of art form. So by painting somebody, you're putting your art out there. And then that painting might equal a pottery piece that he does that sells for like hundreds and hundreds of dollars, or a new tattoo piece, or a new tattoo client, or exposure through the college, then therefore gets him. Now
so it's a showcase of your talent.
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
like
I
he
didn't know if,
teaches at the college. He teaches pottery at the college, and then they bring him in to do showcases and stuff like that. So like, it's exposure, but it's also artist work that you're just like, my brain sees a thing, and now I'm gonna put it on a thing.
So does he? Still. So like the gallery that he was working at, did they call him, or was he like, hey, I got this idea for something that would be really cool?
No, they called him. They did another one for Christmas. He painted a girl into a tree, like a Christmas tree, and they all took, like, it's for like
cool.
art openings and like stuff like that, when they're like, you know, let's make this arty.
Right.
And like they'll bring him in to do stuff like that. So like,
so cool.
I know.
I can't get over like people that have
unregulated talent. It's absurd.
Not just that, just the eye for how things are going to be. Like,
oh my God, yes.
I know that I need to paint your armpit with this shade to make sure that it blends in with the
Once
thing
you
behind
make
it,
a line on somebody, you know that one line is going to equal this entire thing.
And then to be able to step back and it blends into...
When he starts the color on my tattoo, like, we don't talk about it, but like I give him like a color scheme that I like, and I'm just like, I like this, and he's like, okay, sit back, don't move. Also, he's a boyfriend normally, and then when he's a tattoo artist, he's a tattoo artist. Because like I'll move and he'll be like, the more you move, the longer this is going to take, Jen.
Lady. So, I honestly, how long have you guys been together?
Year and a half.
That's like some sort of
That's a thing.
record thing, isn't it?
Yeah, because he lives in a different states. He doesn't have to put up with me every day.
You're doing that famous we should live in different houses and date once a week thing. It's perfect, really.
He's so busy, and I'm so busy, and also I have a teenager, I have a job here, like I have a house here, and then so it works out really, really well. Honestly, because like his schedule is just like today I talked to him, I'm like, what'd you do today? He's like, went to the Meg, worked on my pottery, went to the studio, set things up. I have 3 tattoos today, and then I'm going to go home, and I think I have to meet my friend for dinner, blah, blah, blah.
So he does pottery. What do you mean by pottery? Like, what? I'm so confused by this.
The pottery?
Yes.
It takes a lot of... it takes a lot of time, and it takes a lot of, you have a design in your head, and then you have to pick apart this actual like pliable piece and pick them out and make a design out of it.
Yeah, but all right. I'm definitely an outsider looking in. I can already tell. But you're making like something that sits on the shelf and looks cool?
Yeah.
Or a functional piece
it functions. He makes like teapots.
Because I can only get into that stuff when I'm really drunk and I'll buy things ironically.
Right.
Like I just got a thing popped up in my Facebook timeline or memories that I bought a whip when I was in Mexico randomly on the street.
You were going to be Indiana Jones.
Well, for protection. But so I would go by 1,000 pottery places and be like, oh, that's cool. Mm-hmm. And it's not obviously in my wheelhouse, but
right.
I get it.
For those who are, for it being in their wheelhouse, like, oh my God. Okay, so we went to Gettysburg, my favorite place, but there's this place, it's called like the Pottery Lion, something, whatever, I don't know. But anyway, we went there, and there was these tiny children, not even tiny, they were like Lucy's age, and they're like, would you like a snap pea? Have a snap pea. And I'm like, okay. It's this house with like an area that has bookshelves with like pottery on it, and then they also have a farmer's garden there. So we went and we're like, what? So they're offering us snap peas. Would you like raspberry? Yeah, of course. So one of the children is like, my dad does all the pottery and my mom does all the glazing on it. And we're like, that's really cool. So we go inside and they sell jam. So I'm picking out they have like raspberry chocolate jam. Are you kidding? No, you could
really?
spoon feed.
Good?
It's so good. So we went inside, we're getting all the things. The guy who makes it, he is rad dude. Like this black guy, huge white fro, giant straw hat, comes walking in. He's talking about the pottery, and Jason's like, well, I do pottery too. And then it was like sparkles in real life. It just happened. He's like, what do you do? And Jason showed him some things that he had on his phone. He's like, that's great work. He's like, here, feel the weight of this. Mm-hmm. Being with somebody who does pottery, when somebody else who says, feel the weight of this, it's legit. Like, Jason's stuff is really great, but it's heavy. Mm-hmm. He's working at getting it lighter. This guy had, like, a coffee mug made of pottery that was as light as this little solo cup right here. So light. Good. It had indents for your fingers over here. Had really nice glaze on it.
That's like next level shit.
It is. So, but he studied in Japan for, I think, 4 or 5 years. And then he came over here, and he's in his 60s, and he's been perfecting it ever since. So for people who are in the know, that know this stuff,
so
like my photography to like you and a bunch of people are like, that's so great. But to me, I look at people who are like professional photographers who do things, and I'm just like,
right.
How did you catch dull light with bright light coming from behind you with like fog at the same time? Like, I'm like, I look at that and I'm just like, I suck.
So, all right. So, but this, it's not like, and this probably sounds so stupid, but it's not like functional pottery. Like, it's not like you just said, a coffee mug. Is it something you would use, or something you would be like ornamental? Like, I need this for this room type stuff.
He does both. Where it's like, he's done like planters where you can like put some shit in. I have one at my house. I'm going to plant some shit. It's going to be great.
I like it.
Coffee mugs, stuff like that. Plates, he does, which is great. But then he also does the big, heavy like vases that's like, I'm scared to even go near. He's let me around his items when I'm hungover, which is a mistake. Please don't let me around your breakables when I could fall over. Please don't.
So does he have a store that like people come in, or does he like do shows or markets or something?
He just got a studio up in this place called the Hungerford in Rochester, which it's a giant building with like different artist studios throughout the entire building.
Oh, that's cool.
And they have a First Friday where you go in and like you can visit different studios. You can buy whatever. You can buy pottery. You can buy leatherwork. You can buy essential oils. You can buy jewelry. It's whatever. So he just got that. It's opening 2 weekends from now.
Super exciting.
So
and
he's going to be hanging some photography work in there.
So this is sounds like a really nice little combination you guys got going on there.
It's a really nice combination. Because he knows that like when I'm working on my pictures and he'll call me and I'm distracted, he'll be like, all right, babe, you're working on something, I'll talk to you later. And it's not anything like... Right. Or like when I call him and like he's gone, he's out.
And he's painting a naked girl.
Right. I know, I've been there before and I've been like, no, you missed a spot. And I'll like lift up her boob and be like, it's right under here. You missed
There's
here.
so many questions I have about all that. I'm like, it's so weird.
You got to get it all up in there, man.
It's so awesome,
it's
but
art.
it's like so. That's what I was saying. Like
it's art. It's
the,
artwork.
The people that do that have to be so comfortable because it's not like you're painting a person and all their little nooks and crannies and folds and flaps and bumps. It's such a like.
Yep.
Ugh.
Yeah, you have to really I've been with him when he's painted somebody, and he's been like, you have to spread your legs wider.
But he's a tattoo artist, so I guess at some point you probably get
a
little dulled to the.
That's what I said earlier, about him. He's a boyfriend. He's a wonderful boyfriend. But then when he's a tattoo artist or an art, he is an artist. He's stop moving or move.
He shifts gears into professional
completely.
Mode.
He's not at all I. Never at all. I'm just she's really pretty, and I don't care. I honestly am just you missed a spot right by her ass, honey. You.
But I feel like you get to a certain age where you kind of let all that go.
Yeah.
A little bit. You're whatever, fuck it.
It's whatever.
Right.
If you're gonna be doing an amazing piece of artwork for everybody to see, you've got to make it really good. So, that's what he does, and it's all a canvas. The world is a canvas to Jason.
So this is how he makes a living through all these various different.
He's been able to make a really solid living.
That's awesome.
Off of being tattoo artist, pottery, body painting, and art canvas work, actually on canvas.
That's what I think is so cool about going back to it's a different world, especially with social media, and you're able to get so just imagine trying to sell your pictures even 10 years ago.
I would have to go out to shows or expeditions or there's no sharing socially. I mean, there's somebody sees it in your house and where'd you get that? You have to go track the person down or call them or something like that. But now double-edged sword, they can get a hold of me very clearly, but at the same point it's there's 50,000 other people who are selling the same kind of shit.
Is he huge on social media with sharing his stuff, or is he kind of local,
but just
a local following that keeps him going? Or?
Local following is what he does with people who come in to get tattoos, shows that he does. But he did 2 shows this last year in Rochester. It was his first 2 shows that he ever did. The first one, he did so well that, neither, somebody always had to be there. I'd be I have to pee, I'll be right back. Or I have to go get food, I'll be right back.
Just so busy.
Somebody had to be there. He sold almost all of his stuff.
That's awesome.
And then the second show that he did, he won Best in Category his first go-around.
Can we book him on the podcast?
Yes.
Okay, good.
He does podcasts up in Rochester all the time.
Does he really?
Yeah, because he was also in a band.
Go figure.
I know!
Right. He's done everything.
Jesus!
This could be the coolest guy in the world.
Seriously! Every possible thing that can run through your brain that's well, that could be, oh, you did it? Oh, yeah,
that's
of
cool.
course he did.
Cool.
Of course. No, he does podcasts all the time.
That's so neat.
And he's sober, which is unnerving.
So he's straight edge sober guy?
He's 4 years. March 1st he'll be off of every single thing in the world.
And this was maybe this is something that he would rather talk about, but so he was I'm going down a bad path, I need to boop, cut the brakes on all this.
It wasn't any catastrophic event why do I have blood on my clothes? It wasn't like that.
Right,
it was
right.
He was I'm not dealing with things well. I could be doing way better for myself. And so he just did. It wasn't that quick. It was a progression where he had to be okay, I have to do this. And then he backstepped a little bit, but it wasn't that long where he was just this is better for me, I'm just going to do this. And ever since then.
But he doesn't even slip into I'll just have one.
Nope,
just done.
Not an option
just
for it
done,
because he just has that click where he's just I can't just have one.
Right.
I'll have 17.
Right.
And it'll be awful for everybody.
No, yeah.
Right.
I get that.
And he's done so much in his life since then that he just really honestly once you're going towards something really good that why the hell would you be well, I'm just gonna go back here where I was doing horribly for a while.
Yeah, true.
So
move forward.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So he's super sober with doing all this, where I'm just like, once in a while, I'm just like,
pew, pew.
yeah, I'm just like, my God, where's the wine? And he's just like, hey, let's watch a movie and just hang out. And I'm just like, I'm like, you're a robot. I don't understand. Like, one day, I'm just going to be laying next to you, and I'm just going to hear, like, beep, beep, and, like, your
I'm going to have to recharge you.
Yes. Do you have a charger? Yes. Your battery's
Where's your
low.
cord plug in at?
Is this a Droid or an iPhone? What are you doing?
Crazy. I always like, I have a real problem with going down the rabbit hole of knowledge on certain things. Mm-hmm. So I doubt pottery would be in my wheelhouse, mm-hmm. but it's close. Mm-hmm. Where I'm like, what's this pottery bullshit all about?
Yeah.
And then 6 hours later, 12,000 Google searches, you're like, oh, this is fucking awesome.
This is great.
Did you know that?
Did you see his technique?
Yeah, if you use a certain type of clay, and obviously he didn't use the heat, that like you're just like, and that's what always fascinates me about all these little subcultures of every little, mm-hmm. like it could be the most minuscule interest, mm-hmm. and there's this little subculture of mm-hmm. people that are like, yeah, that guy over there, he is the motherfucker. Like
that's why, like, when I go to my hippie festivals and do stuff like that, like the people that I've met, and like the things that they can do, like even just like play an instrument, like Jason's really good at, like, he's a singer mm-hmm. in his band, he's really good at that. But like when we went to Floyd Fest last year, my friend Christina brought her son, who brought a little, oh my God, I don't want to say mandolin, but he brought like one of those little like boop, 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 mm-hmm. like one of those little things. And he just would sit there and just like, he'd be like, who wants a song? And I'm like, I do. And he would just come up with something. Top of his head, lyrics, the whole thing, like, and then there was somebody else who was really good at like doing like yoga, and there was somebody else who's really good at like tie-dyeing, and there was like all the people that I have met mm-hmm. through this thing, like their little like weird medium. It's just like, tell me about your weird medium.
Right.
I want to hear about your weird medium.
Tell me about your little world. Like, yes. Everybody has their own little world that they operate in.
It's so good. And, like, I think that's...
All right, not everybody. Some people are dull as fuck.
Right.
But...
right. But the ones that you actually get into conversation to, that you're like, this is worth continuing.
Well, and this is what I was going to say was I think is really good. That is with everything that we're living in now. And it can go back to, like, the Me Too thing that's going on. Mm-hmm. But I think a little bit farther than that, giving somebody a voice or the courage to say Me Too, mm-hmm. is way before that the guy that likes yoga or the weird little niche things. People are like, oh, fuck, I'm not the only weirdo in the world.
Yes.
And, oh, I'm not weird at all. A lot of people like this. This is a whole thing.
Yeah.
Like, where before you were kind of stuck in your own little niche, and I'm in Bradford, and I fucking really like pottery, but I don't know dick about dick.
Yeah.
And you could have that interest and not have not only the information, but the support hard. Or the group around you to
because we're so together, but we're also so separate. Like, there's just, like, huge, like, argument about things, but then at the same point, it's just like, but I have friends, like, on social media and that I've met in person mm-hmm. at these weird little hippie festivals that I go to that, like, I never would have met otherwise.
Right.
And now it's just like, you can be like, I have my alternate universe. I work for, like, I wear my slacks every day.
Right.
I do my hair and my makeup, and how can I help you, sir? But then I go to, like, my festivals and sell my photography, and I just, like, wander around and dance mm-hmm. like an idiot, and, like, I can exist. And I think a lot of people are finding that, like, I can exist plain.
Right.
That was not there before.
I mean, some people are taking a little bit too far with, like, these people that dress up like animals and whatever those are called. I want to say Furbies, but
I love it. I love it. Every time I find something weirder than the weird that I knew so existed, like, I love it. I love it on a bat. I honest to God straight love it, because I'm just like,
well, it's just like,
do it.
Even like the ones that I in a million years never would do, but I sort of am like, oh, I kind of get it. Mm-hmm. And it goes with whatever those fur people are called. I can't think what they
Furbies.
Are they Furbies?
No, wait, no, that's the thing.
Furbies is a toy.
Furbies is a toy.
Well, it doesn't matter. But is the cosplay people.
Yes.
And I'm just like, never in a million years am I going dressing like Batman, but I want to.
I've had this conversation with Jason the same way.
He
loves the conventions and the he loves it. He loves it. He loves going, and sometimes he will dress up when he goes. We haven't been together. If he wants to, like, we go. If he wants to dress up, have a ball. I'm not going to.
Right.
Because I feel like I'd be more of a poser because I'm not that into it. But I have friends who are down
deep
in it.
Yes.
They have like the full outfits, like the boots that actually match the character, like the whole thing. And I'm just like, that's amazing.
And
do it.
So one of the things that I think is weird that comes out of all that is the shit that you learn that you don't realize you're learning that somehow applies to your life later. I'm gonna give you a for instance, and I'm calling out my little nephew Otis a little bit right now. So
how's he doing?
He's great. He's up at Penn State in Erie.
I love that whole family.
But he's gotten into this. I'm not calling him out. I'm just
using him as a reference.
A perfect example.
Okay.
So he's into the cosplay. He did a lot of dress up and I say dress up. It makes it sound so terrible, but he was into the cosplay, and they have all sorts of conventions in Pittsburgh. So I'm sure it was like super easy to, like around here we're like,
like if you were to walk out.
Yeah, you're standing down in front of Pizza Hut like the crazy guy that dresses like Batman, like you're a nut.
Right.
But in Pittsburgh, there's actually like conventions and stuff you can go to. But the thing he started doing since he went to college, and it sounds so crazy to me, but I'm sure if you get younger than me, they're like, he takes Star Wars figures and puts them out in the wilderness and puts them in little like scenarios, and then it's constantly taking pictures of them, like almost every day.
Really?
And posting these pictures of these little Star Wars guys.
I didn't know this was a thing.
And I didn't either until you look into it and you're like, yeah, lots of people do this.
Really?
But what's neat is he's been doing this, I don't know how long, but we'll just say 6 months.
All right.
But you can see his skills are getting better and better and better, whether it's Photoshop or whatever. And then today he posted one, and it had a little animation, like one of the guys was swinging something around. So you can look at that and go, that's stupid. You're taking toys and you're taking pictures of toys, which I can understand on some level.
But
and you can look at it and go, it's not really my thing. I don't really get it. Or you can just go, about it, which I think 98% of the people do. But wait, hang on one second.
You're in that wheelhouse.
Right. There's 2% of the people who build this community. They're like, dude, that's so fucking awesome. So do you want to make that animated? This is how you do it.
Right.
And then I feel like at some point you don't realize it, because I look back and there's a lot of things like this in my life.
Yeah.
You don't realize it until years later. You're like, oh, I learned all this shit back then doing this thing that was just an interest or a passion.
Right.
And I can apply that to real life and do things that are awesome. Like it gave me a basis or an understanding of something that there's no other way you'd get it unless you had a passion for it.
Like being with Jason, like now honestly, like being with somebody who has like the artistic brain that like things are just going, like things will pop into his head to do, and I'm just like, do it, babe. Like just
But that doesn't, and what's crazy about that is that doesn't come from that moment. That comes from 10,000 moments before, where you're doing all these little steps that one day they clink together.
Like everything just like came together, and he's like, it'd be cool if I blah blah blah, and it's just like, what do I need to supply?
Right.
I'll stay home and clean the house, and you go do this. I'll take pictures of it and put it out online.
That just sounds like you just want to stay home.
I do. I always just want to stay home.
I just don't want to do anything.
I did. No, he already knows about my crescendo for doing things. Like, I'm either like, yeah, or I'm really supportive, but also like, so you know this bed that I'm in with the covers?
Just staying right here.
And your cat, he has a cat named Cow Cow, and he sleeps like on my face and makes everything very warm. I'm just going to stay here with this animal and just kind of do that. But you...
Kill it.
You do...
Go kill
do all of your things. Honestly, like... I've seen some weird shits. I've watched some weird video, like just like all the weird stuff that like is out there, because there's so much shit out there. But it's just like every time I see something, my immediate brain is just like, what the? And then afterwards, I'm just like, do it, do it. Do it. If that's what makes you happy.
Right. It
Like,
doesn't.
you're not hurting a God-blessed person. Just get out there, dress like a unicorn. You're a unicorn?
So crazy.
Great. You're a unicorn.
Well,
Perfect.
I have a person that's on my Facebook who is deep, and I mean deep, into Walking Dead cosplay.
I know who you're talking about. I'm friends with the same person.
We're probably thinking of the exact same person. And
In it. Costumes
Like,
planned out.
that's your
Spend
life.
all of your
Yes,
money going to these
yes.
conventions.
and then, but
And I'm like-
I think about it, and I'm like, that's so fucking weird. But at the same time, I'm going camping instead every weekend, so I'm spending all my
And you're going
money
to
go
these,
in the woods, and that's what makes me happy.
You're going
It's no
to these
difference.
shows. You're going to the shows for the
Right.
for the little power shop. You're going to like, you're learning about all these things. You're spending money to like travel and like
Right.
diesel. Like I think me personally, I worked here for what 5 years,
For a while,
4 and a
yeah.
half. Yeah, like people that would buy things, I'd be like, I wouldn't personally spend the money on this stuff, but for you, like.
You're
This
deep.
is
You're deep.
you're
yeah.
deep into it. Like people who kept bringing their trucks back and back and back
Right,
and
right.
more and more. That's not even a weird subculture. That's acceptable.
Just their world.
It's just their world.
Well, that's what, just like with the Walking Dead thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like and if you watch it, like if you stood back in a big timeline, it's like, I really like this show. I know these characters now. And I don't think that's any weirder than anything else
It's
in
not.
life. You know what I mean? Like,
It's not.
it's
You can make
different.
your passion
it's a
to
new
something.
thing. It's definitely a new
It
thing.
might not be your thing, but it is
And-
so important to them, and they are so deep into it that it's just like,
Whatever.
thank you.
But again,
Do it.
Again, something like that, I look at that and go, I bet you down the road somewhere this helps you. Like you're going to all
Yes!
these shows and you're starting
She's
to
met so many friends.
Right.
She's
And
had
people-
such a good time.
And-
she might even have Jason and I into it because he's a huge Walking Dead
Oh,
fan.
really?
And she got a hold of him through me
Ah.
to do it. And he's like, that's Jen. And I'm just like, what did you get me into?
But this is what I'm saying. Like, you look at it and you go, that's fucking wackadoodle
Yeah,
because it's not my thing.
right.
But you don't know who you're going to meet. You don't know
Yeah.
the shit you might learn. Like, it's such a
Strong, pertinent subculture to them. It's
Right.
not even a subculture, it's a culture. It's theirs.
And who knows? Like, who knows where that goes from there?
Yeah.
Maybe nothing. Maybe you just had a bunch of good times. Who knows? It's so weird. But I do have the best customer service story in the world to tell you. So I had this guy call up today. And it makes it up to me, and he's like, and I don't have the best memory in the world, but there are some things I just kind of remember. And he says we sold him an engine, and now it's leaking oil. And
How long ago?
well, hang on a second.
Okay, hold on.
So, and he had to call us for warranty, and I'm like, all right, well, let me look it up. Like, we probably are gonna have to go back to the manufacturer, and they're gonna do the warranty. And he says it's been like at least a year or two since I bought it, and I'm like, all right, well, let me look it up. And in the back of my mind, I'm thinking it's probably not under warranty, but let's figure it out.
Yeah.
So he gives me his name, and he has kind of a Canadian accent, which I don't think a ton about it, but I noticed it right away. And
Shipping things to Canada.
and we do sell stuff
Is
to
that
Canada,
nightmare?
but not usually engines, but
Right.
who knows?
Right.
So, and he's a nice enough guy, and we're talking, and he gives me his name, and he's like,
Right.
well, maybe it's under my dad's name, and I look under his dad's name, and I look in the old QuickBooks and the new QuickBooks, and I look all over the place trying to find it in the store, and finally he's like, I have an invoice number if that helps you.
Great.
And I'm like, perfect, I can punch that right in. So he gives me it, and it's like 1,062. And I'm like, I don't think that's our invoice because that would be like from 2009.
Right.
We're at like 48,000 now or whatever our invoice is.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, that's what's on my paper or whatever. And I'm like, what's your paper say? Well, it's just something I wrote down. So this goes on for like a good 20 minutes. And
I do not miss running customer service for
so
you.
I'm looking
I
through
don't.
all this stuff, and I'm like, dude, I can't find you anywhere. Maybe it's under my mechanic's name. So I look under the
Okay.
mechanic's name, and I'm like, when was this? And he says, like November or December of 2016, and I said, I don't think we started shipping motors till the beginning of 2017. Like, right in that zone, but I don't remember shipping this name. Like, engines I usually remember.
Yeah, what's your address? Like, what, anything.
So we're going back and forth, and we're talking, and he's a super nice guy. And finally he goes, so wait a minute, where are you at? And I said, I'm in Pennsylvania. Oh, fuck, man. And I'm like, what? He goes, I'm supposed to be calling someplace in Canada.
Oh, my God. I still remember the name of the worst customer experience I had at your establishment.
All right, give me the initials because I think he just ordered the other day.
JS, the one who accused us of smoking pot in the back.
I'm thinking
no one's smoking pots.
I'm going to pause this real quick so I can say the guy's name.
Okay, pause it. No!
Yes.
No, not him, but him!
I started it again, by the way.
I remember him too!
Yes. He's ordered, the other day, I'm like, this guy's such a dick. But he's still occasionally ordering from us.
Oh, my God. No, that one day, he was like, you're just in the back, smoking pot, not delivering my parts. And I'm like, sir, I can guarantee you that no one here is smoking pot. We'd all be in way better moods if we were.
Now.
Right. I wouldn't even be answering the phone.
Right.
I'd be in the back smoking pot.
Right.
Like, oh my God, running customer service. It has, honestly, this job, I have worked for restaurants. I've worked customer service for other places. I was the executive assistant to a CEO. But this job is the one that has given me the most, with everything.
Right.
I can be calm when I'm talking to somebody who's irate. No problem whatsoever.
What's crazy is I can't understand people who call up with a problem that start at 11.
Yeah.
That call up just screaming.
Yeah.
And you're like, all right.
Okay.
What's your name?
Okay.
Let's figure this out.
I still do that to this day. Somebody called today and they started going into the store. I'm like, what is your name?
Pump the brakes, yes.
What is your name? So I can look it up first. Like that, I knew that right off the bat. And then every time that when I was here, I was in this room, in this office, somebody would call, somebody else would get them in the office, the other office workers, and then I would just hear footsteps coming down the hallway, and I'm like, I know it.
Right.
Come and be like, could you get line 1?
Well,
all right.
And what sucks is things go wrong. We screw things up.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody else screws things up.
Oh, yeah.
Constantly.
Yeah. But you have to go on waitress rule. Waitress rule is life. Here's waitress rule. For everybody out there in the world, everybody.
Here's the deal.
Waitress rule is you have a customer. Their order gets messed up. They don't care why.
Right.
They don't care why.
They just want it fixed.
They just want it fixed. You could come out as a waitress and be like, our chef chopped off his finger while he was preparing your dish and we had to throw it all away. They don't care. No. They don't care. All they want is their hash on toast with a side of scrambled. That's all they want. They don't want your explanation. So the waitress rule is life. All you do is apologize and you say, I'm so sorry about this. I will get this fixed right away. No problem. Can I offer you anything in the meantime, while you're waiting?
I'm gonna take. This is gonna be a common theme for me.
Waitress rule.
I'm gonna take this back to my earlier thought, where there's too many fucking people. So.
Oh my God! Everything comes full circle.
As we were growing up, as a teenager, you took those jobs and you realized, holy fuck, people are assholes. Mm-hmm. And then as you get older and you're getting waited on by young people or waitresses, you're like, I'm cutting this person all the slack in the world. Mm-hmm. And then I feel like we've slid by that a little bit, where there's so many people and not enough jobs and the economy got shitty. Right. That older people kept the waitressing jobs that younger people used to have to take, that now they will not.
No.
Will not. And you're losing
And
this
also,
generation that has a valuable experience being a servant for another person.
And if they
not
are,
servant, but a server.
Don't cut them slack. The reason that I am efficient in what I do is because I caught shit. I needed to catch shit. I needed to have a boss like you.
Well, what?
You were an asshole sometimes.
Well, yeah.
You were not nice to me.
Still
but
am.
that's great. Don't be. Because you were precise in what you wanted. And you weren't good at communicating it sometimes, but we would work through that and we would get there. But it was my job as an employee or as a customer service rep or as a waitress or whatever to catch shit. The more shit that you catch, the more that you're able to pick up on cues,
Right.
the more
You go,
able
"Oh."
that you are to
Right.
connect to what your boss wants or what your customer wants. You've got to catch shit. You have to mess up. You have to make a mistake to actually make
Get it.
sure
And
that
then
this does not happen
And you
again.
recognize it before it turns into a problem.
Right.
The next time you're like, oh, I've
The
been down
reason
this
that
road
people
before.
came to me here when they're like, when I was like the most senior person here or whatever, and they're like, you know how to take care of this. I'm like, the only reason that I do is because I've been dealing with John for 4 years. I know what's going to piss him off. And I also know what I can head off.
Right.
What I can cut off right at the head before it has to get there. Like, you know, like when people call where I work now and they ask to talk to somebody and I'm just like, well, they're not available right now, but how can I help you? They will just say what they need. You can probably help them.
Right.
If
9
they're
times out of
angry
10.
about
Right.
something, you can probably talk them down. But you have to get through the muck
Right.
in order. Like if you didn't work on cars your whole life, didn't work on trucks your whole life, or like big machinery, you would have no idea. You like, 'cause you didn't go to school. You
No,
didn't have
and-
any kind of like
and-
professor. You just have life just being like, guess what you did? You messed this up.
Right.
All right, so the next time I'm not gonna.
And that's
do
the only
that.
way you can get better at things is just doing them wrong.
Yeah, you've got to mess
And
it
then,
up.
and then this goes back to, I'm just making big loops and
You're
circles
just,
here.
You're just circling.
So this is one of the things that drives me nuts
Just
about
circling.
the whole Me Too stuff that's going on.
Yeah.
So there's creeps,
Yes.
and then there's people that make mistakes,
Yes.
and then they go, "Oh, I'm never doing that again."
Right.
Like the Aziz thing, he is just to me a
But
dork.
again-
A dork.
Unless you know that you made that mistake.
Right.
I mean, I don't necessarily think it needs to be on such a public forum, but
Right.
once you're a public figure, you open yourself
And
up
what's
to that shit.
what's weird about this one, and this is what I hate to keep going back to this one, but it's so easy to go back to, is she? I don't know if you saw those texts. He sends her, or she sends the next day. Hey,
did, yeah, I
things
saw
got a
it.
little weird last night. I really wasn't into that. I don't think you were picking up
You
on
were
the cues.
happy I wasn't.
And then he sent, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
I completely misjudged that
Right.
situation. I'm
Right.
sorry." And then that is the end.
Yeah.
Like there's not a he kept following me around. He kept calling me.
Right.
Blah 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 things.
Right.
And one of the things that I think is so fucking weird is we've, and I hate to say this, but I feel like there's a generation of non-men coming up
Yeah.
that have, like we've taken away all the stuff, and this area is not as bad, but when we get into other places, we've taken away all the stuff that makes being a boy a boy. Like, I was out in the dirt, I was fucking doing this, and I got some lumps
Right.
and bruises and understood the world in more of a
I
masculine
see that
sense.
for like our area that we're at, where how everyone, farmer, trucker,
Right.
car
That's-
worker,
We all grew up like this rough and tumble.
all up in that.
Right.
And like girls did, like I was down in the creek, like up to my knees, like
Right.
picking up crayfish and like attaching them to my cousins and laughing. But
So
I think
I think there's two things up. So when you come up that way, you get tested. And I did hard work, and I'm a man because I made it through today, and I lifted heavy shit. As dumb
Right.
as it sounds, I
it.
had this rite of passage. So if you don't have that, you've never been tested. So you don't have this firm masculinity that you need, because to be honest, I don't think there's a male alive that wasn't 100% positive he wasn't gay or was
right,
until he made it to like 19. And he's like, shoo!
maybe.
Or like, yeah, I like dicks. Like, yes. Like, you don't.
I might like dudes. Girls, same thing. I might like girls. maybe not. I think a good takeaway from all of this is men can now be like, I never really liked doing that shit in the first place. Like, I'm not gay, but man, I really like to bake instead of working on a truck. Like, I feel like that's a positive. Like,
well, the
and
world's
now I don't
shifting that there's other things.
What I said earlier, like the whole thing, like take on merit. Like, I feel like if you are into something, if you're really digging on something, if you're a hairdresser and you're a guy and you're straight as all get out, then be a hairdresser.
Right.
Be a whatever.
I agree with what you're saying, but what I meant was, if you grew up being a logger,
yes.
Okay,
yes.
You identify in this super masculine role.
Yeah.
If you just grew up, you didn't have to work and played video games.
Right. Yeah.
Like, you don't have this sense of worth because society doesn't put value on being the best Call of Duty player. Your friends might, your group might, but you don't get this validation of this rite of passage. Like, oh, I watched Bob. He's been a logger his whole life. And I was out there with him. And then the second thing, so you don't have this firm grasp of masculinity. Mm-hmm. And then the other weird thing to me in society and movies and everything going back, I always think back to that dumb 80s movie, Can't Buy Me Love. Okay? This is what drives me nuts about all this.
Please tell me what societal fucking role you have pulled out of Can't Buy Me Love. Please.
If you look at that movie, there's Lawnmower Guy, the dorky, fucking awkward dork guy that mowed the yards.
Yes, got it.
Is in love with a super popular chick who's beautiful and everything.
Yeah.
He feels inferior to the jockey, football, good-looking guy. All right? And this is every story in society, and we're getting better about it now. I feel like Netflix is changing the world, but there's stories like you're like, wait, that's not supposed to go like that.
I feel like John Hughes started changing the world.
True.
I'll go back on this one with the whole Breakfast Club, like.
No, that's still wait. I'll give you my theory, and then Breakfast Club still plays into it.
Okay, all right, go.
So, the scenario you have painted is we have the dorky fucking lawnmower kid. I wish I remember names. We have the super popular, good-looking girl who he's in love with, but obviously he isn't popular or good-looking enough to get her attention.
All right.
And then we have the jock, the good-looking guy, who's a jock, but he's also a retard, and he's an asshole.
Right. So,
how do you get the good-looking girl? You just don't give up. She's going to turn you down 1,000,000 times until she sees your worth.
Okay.
And you're better than good-looking jock guy. And then we've grown a culture of dork fucking lawnmower guys who are like, if I just don't give up, sooner or later she'll see my worth. What kind of weird fucking message are you sending? Like, all right, I ran my hand through her ass crack. If I do it 6 more times, I think she'll get that I'm funny.
You know what? Speaking of John Hughes. Okay, so speaking of that whole, like, if you just don't, if blah, blah, blah. Right. Lucy loves The Breakfast Club. I've been, like, there's... Oh, my God. That movie is a whirlwind of, like, lessons. Especially... Okay. Hold on. I'm into it now.
You're getting revved up.
I gotta fix my bra strap. This is the whole thing. So... Number one, watching old movies like that when I'm a mother compared to when I was a teenager is completely separate. Okay, so Dirty Dancing. Okay, sorry, Sways. Mom, I'm in love with like the 30-year-old who teaches dancing here, and he's a drifter and like has sex with all the older women, but I love him because he dances. Hey, guess what, Leathercoat? Get the hell away from my kid before I call the police. Seriously, nobody puts baby in the corner. Yes, they do. I do, because I'm her mother, and she's 16.
Grown man, please leave.
Get.
Yes.
Get.
Yes.
So, other than that, the, like, Breakfast Club, I'm watching with Lucy, all-time, like, favorite movie. I'm watching it, and I'm just like... Hold on a minute. I'm like, John Bender makes a lot of sense as to why I made shitty choices in boyfriends basically my entire life. Like, he treats you like shit, but he's kind of hot, a little bit of a rebel, and now we're together and I give him a diamond earring. That's bullshit. Like, I watched it as like an adult with Lucy, and I'm like, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't. No, you date the nerd. You date the one that was like good at math.
But
he's cool. He's gonna make his life better because he's focused. Don't worry about him. Don't worry about John Bender. And then also the weird girl who eats like pixie sticks and breakfast cereal on a sandwich, which looked amazing. But like, why was she an outcast? She seems fine to me. Like, she just wants some friends.
What drives me nuts about this, and this is what I was going to say.
What?
All right? Is, and thank you for illustrating it perfectly. There is going to be the dork kid who is a fucking dork.
Right.
There's also going to be in that subset of dorks a couple of really smart, caring, understanding people who are great.
Right.
So to lump in all dorks if they just don't give up.
Right.
And then on the other side, there's the jock, the good-looking guy, the athlete. He's got to be fucking stupid. Probably not.
Probably not.
He's probably could be anywhere on the spectrum.
Right.
You could have a really good-looking, talented, driven guy
Right.
who's awesome, or a douchebag.
Right.
But we lump those in. That's what I'm saying. Like, we've lumped those into, got to be good-looking, so you got to be a good douchebag. You have to be a dork. You're super smart and more caring than anybody else.
Right.
And then we have the good-looking smart girl, who, if only you could show her how caring and awesome you are, and only if she sees how awful the guy is. But you know what? Sometimes she's fucking retarded, and she only really is looking for looks. Yeah.
Also, if you just take the weird girl and maybe take down her hair, put a little eyeliner on her, she'll be totally fine to hang out with.
It just gives you this warped sense of reality that I feel like until you get older, you go, oh, that's all bullshit.
I am hopeful. Because I feel like all of this, like this giant wave of just like weird shit that is just okay now. Raising a child makes things different, I feel. And Lucy now reaching an adolescent, like being a 15-year-old, and she's weird as shit, and I love it. Like, she loves, I wouldn't qualify this as weird as shit, but like, she loves like Nirvana, she loves Led Zeppelin, she has a Metallica shirt I almost stole tonight, but if she found that I wore it, she'd murder me. She wears like Doc Martens, and she like plays video games all day, and like she is just like, she's so like drawn.
Yeah, but do you feel like, so here's a real question.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you are influencing those?
I feel like I did, but now the ball has started rolling so much that I'm still at the top of the hill, and Lucy's like damn near the middle with like this giant mess.
But does she introduce things to you?
Yeah.
Because one of the things that I've noticed, and especially as my daughter's very young, is we play this game.
Wait for it.
What's funny though,
you're gonna hate every moment.
I know. We play this game all the time called Smash or Trash.
Okay.
So this is one of my favorite things to do with her.
Right.
Is I will just pick up Amazon Music or XM or Spotify and just play us the new stuff. Like, there's always a playlist of the newest, hottest stuff.
Right.
And I'm always like, let's smash or trash this. And I always let her go first. Like, we listen to a little bit of the song.
Yeah.
And she's like, trash it.
Really?
Oh, this is good. Smash it. And what's...
Is it all country?
No, it could be anything.
Okay.
It could, like, when you pick the one that's the newest stuff, it could go from punk to pop to rap to country.
Okay.
It's all over the place.
Okay. All right.
But 9 times out of 10, when she says this sucks, I'm like, yeah, it kind of sucks. And when she says it's good, I'm like, yeah, this is pretty good. I'd listen to this.
Really?
And then you start to realize, like, how much influence on this little human do I have without realizing it? And if this isn't, I don't feel like there's biology that your ear relates to music the same way that was passed down. It's, I played this and you're, relating to this
like
and that made you feel
nature
away.
versus nurture kind of thing. And so
play that out however many years, and it started to make me go, fuck, I don't don't know what to do anymore.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Like...
Yeah. You undoubtedly, every parent, everybody who's interacted with a child, teacher, whatever, like, they have an influence on children. Clearly, Lucy and I, coming from, like, she lives with me basically full-time now.
Mm-hmm.
So, her and I, together, like, my influences have influenced her. But
No
now,
doubt.
again, the ball has started rolling, and, like, she's off, and she's her own little person. But even seeing, like, her weird little nuances and, like, how she feels bad about something, she's like, she'll come up with an idea, and she's like, that's weird, right? And I'm like, no, that's just how your brain came up with a thing.
Right.
What I'm hopeful for, and what I love about the age of everything's just what it is just like everything gets introduced, and, like, male isn't male anymore, female isn't female anymore, but it's all kind of rolling itself into, like, really, honestly, whatever you want to do, you honestly have a chance to do it now.
At no point in history have you had this many options to be
Anything.
Literally
anything.
Yes.
Anything you wanted to do. Like, and it makes me so hopeful, and it makes me so, like, happy that it's just, like, in the future, if she's like, I want to work on cars, you know what? Honestly, if you're really good at what you do,
whatever, do what you want.
Fantastic.
But I feel, so going back to that a little bit, is, like, I get really weirded out about the gender
Neutral?
No. I like young kids identifying as something else. And the parents are like, yep.
Like, super, super young.
I feel like that should be something you do when you're 18 to 20. When you've lived some life. Okay, I'm kind of... To start shoving, I get really...
The hormones and stuff, like, starting to change their hormones.
It would be like...
being a parent, my personal... with Lucy is if she were to come to me and be like, I feel like I'm male, but I'm living as female, I'd be like, okay, live your life as male. When you reach an age where your decisions are actually like foundation based, like older, because I didn't know what I was doing until basically 32. I'm 36,
and
so
that's what I was saying. Like,
but
most men grow up and they're like, pretty sure I'm gay. Oh, no, I'm not.
Right.
Or, oh, I am.
Everyone's a little gay. It's totally fine.
But it takes you a long time.
To, like, definitely define yourself for something. But, like, doing the hormone thing, I don't think for me, I would do it just because, like, I don't feel like she's absolutely knowledgeable about what's happening with her body.
You have enough life experience to understand.
No one has any idea.
And then who knows what the chemicals, hormones, and shit that's going crazy as you're a kid.
Right. If she would be like, I'm gay, I'd be like, great, you're gay. And then the next day she'd be like, I'm straight. Great, you're straight.
Great.
Like, it's just...
But if... This is what kills me, is like, people have kids that come up to them like they're 8 years old or 9 or 10.
Oh, yes.
And go, I'm pretty sure I'm a dude, but I have a girl body, or vice versa. And then they embrace that.
Right.
What if your 8-year-old kid came to you and said, Mom, I really think I need a face tattoo. Like one of the big Mike Tyson face tattoos. You'd be like,
maybe let's wait.
Let's pump the brakes on this.
Maybe let's wait.
Why don't we wait till...
That's a great idea. Why don't you draw it out?
Yes.
And then, when it's time, we'll just go ahead.
When you get to be like 18, 19, if you still think it's a good idea,
we'll go ahead and put that
choice.
right on your face.
But let's
totally
grow up a little bit.
Me. Just a little.
Experience some life.
Yeah.
And then, you know what I mean? Like, I don't think it's wrong to think that, or...
I don't either.
But let's just grow up.
And that's a feeling that you have to recognize and, like, totally understand, and I get that, but you have to also be like, let's...
A lot of 5-year-olds want to be fucking astronauts. And only, like, 6 of them get to.
Lucy wanted to be a boy, like, her basically entire adolescence. She really did. And I was like... Great, be a boy. I bought her like basketball shorts and t-shirts.
You can dress like that. Do whatever you want.
I honestly, I bought Lucy. She's 15 years old. I have bought her one dress out of the last 10 years to go to homecoming.
But have you
That's
known?
it.
But what's weird about that is, have you known? And all this stuff becomes a little more focused as you get older. Have you known people who in high school would never wear a dress?
Right.
And then you bump into them 15 years later, and they're dressed
Decked
to the
out.
nines, and you're like, the fuck is this person?
Decked right
Oh,
out.
hey, I'm Michelle from high school. And you're like,
Yeah.
the chick that used to dress like a dude? Like, the
Or
fuck?
like the guy that used to be in the army?
Yeah,
Oh.
you're a chick now. Like,
You have better legs than I do.
Get a little bit older and then
Son of
figure
a
all
bitch.
this out.
Yes.
It's so confusing.
I know. Okay, but wait. I don't care. What I do care about.
Oh, no.
What I do care about is I hate you in the most loving way. You have. I wanted to talk about this like off camera, but the campulence.
Campulence? Yes.
Okay, my hippie ways are hurting deeply because I want a mobile hippie device, and you, this diesel loving homebody with wife and child,
Ma'am.
just made a ambulance, a camper where you can go wherever you want, and now it hurts me.
A couple of things. I think you projected that I'm a homebody and I don't like to travel. But inside of me is a little hippie that just wants to travel around, see the world, not pay for a
You're a
hotel.
little redneck hippie. Who would know?
Yeah, I got this. So it was about this time last year.
It's an ambulance.
Yeah, it's about 15 years old or so.
Okay.
But it was in really good shape. It only had like 80,000 miles on it because
That's bad.
ambulances sometimes don't get that many miles, but they sit and run forever.
Right.
But
okay.
at some point, and this one was down here because we work on a few different ones, and it was down, and it got into the point where they had a whole bunch of stuff wrong with it. Nothing really major, but they're like,
Something you could fix.
Yeah, it's all, it was, so, like, we did an estimate on it, and it's like $4,000 or $5,000.
So
And they're
angry
like,
about
do we
that.
spend $4,000 or $5,000 on this old ambulance that we can't depreciate anymore? Because here's the dirty secret about ambulances.
What?
They're all private businesses, almost all of them.
Really?
Yeah, everybody thinks that ambulances
They're
are...
owned by the state or the government or the...
No, people.
Wait.
Yeah. Yeah. Everybody thinks an ambulance is owned like by the government or the volunteer fire. No.
People.
There's some guy named Dave who owns 6 ambulances and makes
Tom's got
fucking bank, dude.
What?
Yeah, it's a business. It's a private business. Almost all ambulances are private businesses.
Are you serious?
Mm-hmm.
And they have to upkeep their own...
Yeah, so it comes down to a business decision. So we have a 15-year-old ambulance that might bring in $50,000 a year or whatever. I don't know what the numbers are. So do we spend $4,000 on that and we write off that $4,000, or do we spend $100,000 on a new ambulance that's 15 years newer, is more reliable, we won't miss calls,
Right.
and not spend anything on it and write all that off for the next 3 years? Like, it's a business thing.
Right.
So we did an estimate on
As
it.
is all things.
Right, and it needed this much work, and it was in really good shape because ambulances, believe it or not, they take really fucking good care of them. Like, they're clean.
Weird that they would have to do that.
Right,
to
they're always
transport
washed. They don't really rust out.
incredibly
Like,
sick people.
yeah, they take care of them. So we had this one. It was like 15, 16 years old, and they're like, and it sat in the lot here forever.
What year is it?
It's a 2000. It's either 2001, 2, or 3,
That's fine.
somewhere in that zone.
That's okay.
But it sat here in the lot forever, and I know these guys because we've done work for them forever.
Yeah.
So I just sent the guy an email. I'm like, hey. Well, I went down and asked the service guy. I'm like, hey, why is that ambulance still here? Because normally we try and kick those things right out because
Right.
they
They're
need them.
an important
And
piece
it was
of
here
machinery.
forever. And he's like, I gave him an estimate, and he had talked to the boss, blah, blah, blah. So I call him, or I sent him an email, and he's like, yeah, we're thinking about retiring that one. We're just going to get rid of it. And I'm like, well, what do you want for it? Because it had stuff wrong with it, but not like it needed a new motor. It's just a
Right.
bunch of dumb shit.
It has an entire new, like, tranny that
Yeah.
needs to be...
Right. It was
No.
just dumb, like this hose is rotten and these brakes need replaced, and it all added up, but it wasn't like major shit.
Right.
And if you were just using it for your own personal use, half of it you probably wouldn't replace anyways.
Okay.
Like right away. You'd do it eventually, but
right.
that sort of thing. So he says, make me an offer on it. And I made him a dumb offer on it. I don't want to say it online in case I want to sell this, but I'm gonna.
You're gonna pause?
No, I just gave it to you. Yes.
What?
Yeah, and so he says we normally get these for these because we just scrap them, but if you want it, maybe I could sell it to you. Make me an offer, and I'm like, how about?
I'm gonna melt into my chair.
And I was like,
I'm angry about this.
How much? How about this much? And he's like, I'll ask the boss. So the next day he calls me. He's like, yeah, if you want it, it's yours. So I didn't pay very much for it, and it's really good shape. And I just took it up to my other shop, and I just piddled around on it for a few weeks and fixed it all up.
So what? Okay, so beyond my anger, because I just can't have one, I'm jealous. What are you doing to it to make it a full-fledged campulance? Sleeping quarters?
So.
Bathroom?
So funny story about the bathroom I have too. So I took it up there and I stripped out all the stuff that was medical.
Did you keep the shelving units? Because they have good shelving.
Yeah, they have some pretty dope cabinets in it.
Yeah, right.
And I ended up finding a blow-up bed that goes in between, like where you would sit on the side, like it goes on the floor in the middle.
Okay.
And it works really well. For one.
Like up, raised, or is it on the ground?
You can get those inflatable mattresses. Yes. They're like 2 foot high.
Yes.
And there's a bench in there, and when you inflate that, it's almost level with the bench all the way across.
Yeah,
so it works really good.
Okay.
And then I found like a little camper bathroom that has its own little, or toilet that has its own little like storage tank.
Okay.
And it has a water tank in the top, so you can pump it and do a shitty flush for your poop. And it works. So here's the thing about the Campulance.
Yes.
It works for one person and somebody you know really, really well.
Okay.
So that's about it. So if you're a couple traveling, no big deal. But if it's somebody that you don't want to pee in front of, probably not the best idea in the whole way.
However, what if you were like a dry, like, remember when, and we're still going to do this, after last Floyd Fest, Dee and I wanted to make a hippie cabin. No running water amenities.
That's the way this is. There's no running water in this.
Right. It was just
so you could use
bed, storage, a sitting area, like some kind of like, just like, there has to be like a shower.
There's no shower.
Or not in the thing, but there has to be a shower and a bathroom outside, like a camping area or like a festival kind of thing. But you have to have storage, bed sleeping, someplace to put your shit, kind of stuff.
The nice thing about an ambulance is it has this baller-ass power inverter that provides 110 through everywhere. It'll run a microwave, so I put a refrigerator and a microwave in there.
No shit.
So it keeps the refrigerator going. The only thing you have to be careful of is every once in a while you have to start the ambulance to charge the batteries.
Right.
But it'll last quite a while. It depends on what you're using.
What about solar? Does that work on it?
It's so flat on top. It's my plan for this year to put some solar on it.
Because it's so flat.
To charge all the batteries. But I put just a little bitty generator in there to a gas one. So if I parked because what I use it for is if I travel somewhere, it works awesome. Like you get tired, you just pull over.
Yeah.
And I would just start the little generator, plug it in, and it charges the batteries. So the generator just idles. It's not like it's sitting out there running, bah!
Yeah.
It's just idling and it's just charging the batteries. And then I put this little air conditioning / heater unit in that runs off 110, and that keeps it warm or cold in there. It works so dope.
Okay, so for my little hippie mecca that I'm trying to raise at some point, campulance, because a flat roof would be great for solar. Running water is not really as solid unless you're ready to put in the whole system. But sleeping, storage, battery power, good.
Yep.
Good.
The cool thing...
You could also probably get one, maybe, at a solid amount of money that you could put into it because they're independently owned, and when they're no longer needed.
Here's the other thing about why they get rid of them so cheap.
Why?
Is because it's a business, and you want to basically sell it for the least amount of money you can and still be okay.
Yeah.
Because if you sold it for $5,000,
Yeah.
there's some tax shit. So if you sold it for $10,000, you would make some money on that selling it, and it goes on your taxes. So they just want to get rid of them for like almost a break-even type situation.
Yeah, got it.
So,
but that's also like not too bad because I'm looking to get a VW bus, as we have discussed.
Right.
You need to catch up on your VWs because I'm bringing it to you. But these are really big things now, like small homes and like wandering kind of thing. Like Dee and I have been trying to get a mobile tiny home device to take with us to like camping events and such things.
You can buy those little campers for so cheap.
You have said, but like there's something about like, okay, so you bought an ambulance that you could bring into your own. If I were just to buy something that was already like pre-made and blah blah blah,
and just enjoy it and have a good time.
Dick.
There's nothing wrong with that.
No, there's nothing wrong with that. But also, like, you have to find something that's like perfect for like you.
But here's the other thing on the flip side of all this.
Yes.
So I feel like if you and I were married,
yeah,
the campulance would be the best thing in the world.
Yeah.
But
clearly.
Because
I live in it every day.
Because Pam and I are married,
right.
We took it camping a few times.
No.
Not with Pam. She was not a...
Not with Pam.
Not a fan.
Not a fan. Not Pam Lim. She needs to sleep. She needs to be warm.
Yeah, this was not... That wasn't bad, but it wasn't for her.
Is there a built-in cooler area for Pam's Coors Lights?
Yes, there's a whole refrigerator.
Oh, well so then she should be fine.
But the problem was, maybe if it was just two of us, it'd be okay. But there's three of us.
Ah, yeah.
So we have the blow-up bed and then the bench. And then most of the time, I just finally ended up like sleeping on a little bench that's like this wide.
What happened to your old camper?
Got rid of it. The great big one.
Love that thing.
We got rid of that.
Remember the coffin?
Mm-hmm.
That coffin and me.
We got rid of that.
We made good time.
I know.
What is it?
This is stories for another time. No, we got rid of that thing, and we have a smaller one now.
I loved the coffin so very much. That was a really fucking sweet camper. However, that was a lot.
Well, it was like 40-some feet long.
Did I
huge.
Swear again? I probably
Doesn't matter.
I love that thing, but that was a ton of machinery.
Well, it was good when all of us were traveling together when you were taking like 8, 9, 10 people.
Yes.
But when me, Pam, and Piper would go to a campground, it was a pain in the ass. And then we had this giant ass camper for the three of us. It was just stupid.
Yes. I want like a Shasta. I think is what it's called. Yeah. It's just one of those little
like a van.
One of those little tiny pull behinds that are just like a bed, a tiny fridge, a little like kitchenette area. I don't even need the kitchenette area.
I'll sell you the campulance.
I would love.
See, now I told you how much I paid for it.
Yes.
See how hard it is for me to sell it to you now?
Not really.
So here's a funny story.
Not really. What?
So you know that little toilet that I told you I put in the campulance?
Yes.
The amount of people that have used that toilet that we know is staggering.
You know who has a bathroom? Campulance. And they just go.
So we go to events, and the campulance is parked there, and they're like, use that sketchy porta-john over there, or just go in the campulance.
Go to the campulance.
And I'm like, you guys realize I have to dump that fucking tank out, right?
It's disgusting.
Gross.
And this tank is way less than the tank that I had before on the giant.
Right. So, whatever.
Also, do you know that when it pops up in my, like, Facebook timeline, the trip that you and I
the hell trip
went on, I have a moment of solitude where I have to honestly be like, that was the trip that John and I didn't talk to each other for a month and a half afterwards because we couldn't.
With our bad luck too.
He blamed me directly for that trip.
I didn't blame you.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did.
No.
Yes. No one else went on the trip.
Right.
Everyone bailed besides you and I went with you, and that's when everything decided to blow.
I feel like we should dedicate a special podcast to just that trip. And all the shit.
We should sit down.
Shit truck and all the stuff that happened on that trip.
You made me go with a random gentleman in the middle of Ohio to his campsite to drop his truck off to Rose. Rose gonna be upset if I ain't here.
There's so many stories there. But anyways, let's save that for another time.
All right, we're gonna save it.
Are we gonna
How long are we on this podcast?
We're at 2 hours 11 minutes.
Okay, so who's still listening to us?
Nobody.
No one.
Just you and me.
If you are still listening to this,
then
what's
you're
your phone
gonna like
number?
the next one more.
I'm gonna have you text John directly.
So that little toilet thing in the Campulence.
Yes.
At my other shop up there, there's no bathroom. But Piper comes up with me. And as it turns out, she doesn't open the back door and just piss outside like I do.
Well, yeah.
She wants the little bathroom. So I'm like, oh, nailed this. I took that little toilet thing out.
Yeah.
There's a little enclosed room up my shop.
Yeah.
She goes in there, uses the bathroom. It's perfect. Every once in a while I dump it out. No big deal. So
not only do you have a great campulence, now you have another thing for your child.
well, hang on a second.
Well, hold on.
So she doesn't go up there a lot. We're talking like once or twice a month, maybe.
Right.
So this goes on until about 2 weeks ago. She decides to go up with me to the shop. And she says, Dad, I need to go to the bathroom. And I'm like, you know where it is. Help yourself. She goes in, and she called me in there for some reason. I don't remember what it was. So I go in, and she is done going to the bathroom. She just went pee. But between the top tank and the bottom tank, there's a handle you pull out.
Yeah.
And it's just like a little door that lets all the waste go down into the tank in the bottom.
Yeah.
She does not pull this out because she didn't remember.
Right.
So she had just peed on top of that,
Oh,
which I'm thinking, no big deal.
no. Yeah.
I'll just open. Oh, that was what she said. It's not going down. That's why she yelled at me. It's not going down to the bottom like it normally does. So I go in there. Now, granted, or mind you, it's been like a month and a half since she's been up there.
No. Oh, no.
So I bend over. I'm like, oh, she didn't open the thing. So I grab the handle.
What
I
happened?
pull the handle.
What happened?
And guess what?
What?
If you put waste in that little tank in the bottom
Yeah.
and just leave it there for like a month or two or whatever,
It creates gas.
it builds up pressure.
Okay.
And then if you reach down and pull that handle, guess what happens then?
It blows up in your face.
It blows all her pee that's sitting on top of that door right into your face, head, chest, neck, hair, shirt. So then I am standing with all my daughter's pee on me. And I'm just like,
Can we do silver lining and just say it was your daughter's piss?
I know, that's where I was like,
And not
somebody else's.
a random.
But these are the kind of things that
I
happen.
found a random human being laying in your hallway at the old camper. I had to kick him with my boots.
To make sure he's alive.
Yeah, and make sure who he was and why he was there unconscious.
Shout out to PJ. If you're
That was
listening.
his name.
PJ.
That was his name.
Yeah.
He rolled over and I said,
Are you alive, sir?
Okay, you're alive. So at least it wasn't like random stranger pee.
Thank God.
Thank God. On that note, I think honestly we should stop this
Yeah, we
podcast
should
on thank you
wrap
for
this
random,
up.
not random stranger pee.
Right. True. Well, Jenn Stillman, thank
Hi.
you so much. This is so much fun.
I will be back.
We have to get that pottery making boyfriend of yours. Bring him down for a podcast.
He will be here. Also, I would like to talk about way more things.
I've been meaning to ask you about conspiracy theories because I know.
Oh my
Nope.
God!
Shh. You gotta save it. Save it. Save it.
I have so many.
I know. All right, guys. Well, we're gonna call the
All right,
end of
we're
this.
done.
Well, thank you, my dear. Always a pleasure to talk to you.
You're welcome. Conspiracy theories? Are you serious? All right, fine.
Next time.
Next time.
All right. See
Thank
ya.
you.